Welcome to the NLC. You've heard the talk, watched the scrims and seen the tweets. Streamers, LEC players, MSI champions.
Dropping the ultimate onto Yanko.
But all that matters is what you do on the Rift.
And Perks is going to be killed by some random bloke from Hungary. MSI champion, welcome to the NLC.
There's only one league like this, so what more do you need to know? Brought to you by Arozzi, the NLC is hitting your screen right now.
Welcome back to Arozzi Northern League of Legends Championship Winter Split. We're jumping into playoffs. Yesterday we already had our first 2 rounds. We had a big surprise, ready going to the lower brackets, and Bulldogs just biting their way through. They're showing everybody why they're here, and this is the time to meet the legends. But in order to do so, we have 2 more cities for today. My name is Alexandre Maya. I would like to introduce to you the desk. The desk will be Jamada and Duckling is back.
Yeah, you can't get away. You can't get away from me, Ashram. I will always be here. I will always be, and I'm happy to be back for one more day. Right? Yesterday was so good. We had to do it again.
Jamada, lovely to have you on the desk. How are you feeling?
Yeah, good. I'm happy to be here. I barely made it, actually. I flew in last second.
Actually, yeah.
Of the Power Spike podcast. So glad I could make it here in time, but I'm very, very excited to see what our series provide for us today, because yesterday, of course, was a pretty big upset by a lot of everyone's expectations.
We were blessed to have that day yesterday. I mean, we got a dog on the interview. It's always good to have that as well. But today, we have some more surprises. A lot of big names are going to be playing today, but the underdog, I mean, we keep talking about it, David versus Goliath. But in the end, David won. So I don't know if people keep looking at that sentence the way I think it should. Like, David won. Guys, it's not David versus Goliath. Goliath keeps getting beat up. Let's look into today. What do we have? Let's look into the manual. Who do you think is going to play back at home? And I have something for you as well back at home. And I'll talk to you later on. And you can participate on the show itself. How you do it, I'll let you know. But with that in mind, I would like to see the schedule for today. And what do we have? Rich Gang versus Verdant will open up our appetite. Followed by Nord versus Venom. Gentlemen, what do you say about this?
I want to say I think there are some favorites in both of these games, but a bigger chance of upsets than we saw yesterday. And yesterday even had an upset, so you know, I'm keeping my eyes open today. What can happen?
Yeah, I'm not gonna deep dive too far here, but I think 2 very clear favorites. And I think especially in the first series, that's the one that's on my mind, because to put it bluntly, Rich Gang are in the farmers group, bro. They just were. So whilst it's very awesome to see them perform as well as they have, I think this is going to be their first big test. But Verdant also didn't look super convincing either in the other group. So I think this has potential to be a bit of a slop fest. We'll end up seeing just at what quality we get both these 2 lineups today.
Well, this is for today, but what about yesterday? Any sort of sentence you want to bring out about yesterday? We had, there you go, DMG versus Los Ratones. Let's be honest, Los Ratones are on a different level. They're just improving as they go along. Verdant versus Bulldogs, like that's the one we should talk about. But what's your take?
Gosh. Happy to see Bulldog playing so well. Look. I'm happy to see Bulldog playing so well. So I think people definitely slept on this roster, myself included, because it on paper it didn't really look like it was going to be achieving too much other than not finishing at the bottom of the table. That said, this team have come in and they've clicked and they've looked incredible. And I think especially, for all of the nonsense we give Kasing for being on the older end of the spectrum, he's absolutely smashed it so far. It's clear that level of experience coming in and guiding this Bulldogs lineup has paid off dividends, because Verdant looked dizzy yesterday in the majority of that series.
Yeah, it's a really fun duo they have down in the bot lane, Bulldog, in my opinion, right? You know, the veteran, Kasing, kind of the dad in the bot lane duo with Exofeng, the 17-year-old rookie who, I mean, was a big question mark, but has certainly started to give some answers, and the answers have been really good. So they're fun to watch. I like Bulldog. Yeah. They definitely have some bite to them.
Yeah, as we stated yesterday, you have the 17-year-old followed by the 70-year-old support. So that's the bot lane for them. And they're rising the stakes. Meanwhile, on to today, obviously we have a lot to go through. So as I was stating, you can participate on the show. How do you do this? Quite simple. Go on to Twitter. You have Twitter. Come on. If you don't have it, it's on you. But go on to Twitter. Hashtag NLCLOL25. Tell me how you watching the show. Who are you watching the show with? Show me your pet. My cat is behind me. You can show me like a cat or something. And we'll try to bring it onto the broadcast by sharing your tweets. So you can be part of the show as we go along. So for today, we have an interview. This is something we've been trying to do as much as possible. To bring in individuals before the match itself starts. To get their honest opinions while they're still warming up. It's a fast one. It's like, hey, how you feeling? Because you have a show in 30 minutes. And we'll go into a break before we toss it into the interview. I hope you were with us. I hope you have fun. And I'll see you soon. Apparently, we're going through some situations. And I'll let you know as soon as we can do that. Live interviews, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Jamada, you know this. You've been with it before.
Look, man, live broadcasting, especially online, right? It's difficult to throw these things together all of the time as accurately as we like. So, yeah, we're waiting for one particular party to show up. I will not like. I have a lot of love for this fella and the the vibe he brings to the league. So, I'll be polite and I won't name and shame him. Yet.
Yeah. Yet, I love it.
He's got about 2 minutes. We're not there in about 2 minutes that he's gonna have
You're
to.
on the clock, buddy.
Yeah, you're on the clock, buddy. But yeah,
It is
like
fun
I
to
just
see
said,
that as well, Jamada, because in 2022 we were doing NLC Division 2. Remember in Berlin,
in Spandau, right? Yeah.
Spandau is amazing. I know nobody likes it, but I love it. It's my city. I don't care. Jamada, we would do interviews with this gentleman a lot of times, and he
All the
loved
time.
you. He loved you. He was always happy to be there just to communicate with you a bit.
It was a special relationship he and I had. So I'm very excited to have him back. It's a shame, it's actually funny. I mean, we're just gonna ramble for a bit whilst we wait. Run of show be damned. The relationship we had was very special, even though, and people in the UK scene specifically, outside of just like not necessarily inside the UK bubble, will know, Verdant and I had some beef, but it wasn't actually Verdant and I. It was Verdant and the manager of Verdant, who shall not be named because I think it's a bit rude to do so. Now,
You're saying everything.
Thanksman has stepped into that role. It's been almost 2 minutes, so now we're gonna name and shame him. Waiting for Thanksman to get here. So I'm hoping that despite that, he's gonna give us a lovely bit of a preamble to what we can expect from Verdant, because it's not been the best showing on the Rift, right? I think there's a lot of criticism we can throw towards Verdant because their gameplay has not been up to the standard that we'd have expected a roster with the names that they've come into this league with to play at so far.
Hey, I'm getting information that apparently we have some news that we need to introduce into the segment. Obviously, we have our anchor waiting in the studio to provide those. I believe it's Middlecott, who's also the weatherman of NLC. So take a peek at what he had to say about this week.
Welcome to NLC News, I'm Middlecott and this is your NLC update. Verdant have been accused by Lundqvist Lightside management of activating a sleeper agent on their roster during their game against the British org in the Group A tiebreakers on Friday. Crucial seeding spots for playoffs being on the line is assumed to be the motivation behind the subterfuge. A generally disappointing performance from the entirety of the Lightside team makes it difficult to identify the saboteur, but recent tweets from the Verdant jungler Noname have cast suspicion for the act firmly his way. Speaking of Twitter, the COO of DMG Devils has been sent on a media literacy training course by the organisation after seeming to claim that this program is a reliable source of information. Devils, who still has to use stabilizers when he rides a bike and doesn't like peas because icky, was disappointed to see that his team hadn't featured in the previous week's episode. So it feels like a perfect time to mention that DMG went 0-2 this week to finish second to bottom in their group. New data released by esports charts shows that the NLC receives a massive 95% reduction in its views on stream adding content if Los Ratones haven't been mentioned in the past 30 seconds. Statistical analysis by top psychologists, however, suggests that this figure is a significant overestimate, since there's no way that those guys can focus on something without hearing the word Nemesi. Regardless, given that this is our third story, there's no way they'd still be watching to bully K-Droll in chat if I played this clip.
Well, ready to keep a fight. Fire that Inter, man. Just kick him from the team and don't let him ever touch the game again.
Nord top laner Vizicachi reveals that the greatest moment of his esports career was winning the League of Legends tournament at the now defunct Insomnia Gaming Festival. Speaking of the achievement, the Hungarian said, "I mean, it's everyone's dream. To win in front of a bunch of people that haven't slept in 36 hours and are hungover and drunk at the same time. It was hard enough as a player. I mean, the dedication and raw skill you need to win. It's probably 10 times harder as a coach though." And finally, insert lazy recycled joke here about how Kasing is old lol. Anyway, that's all from us here at NLC News. I've been Middlecott and this has been your NLC Update.
Noname, I got you. Hey, we do this 1-in-1, okay, man? How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. How about you?
Not even nervous, not the slightest.
Nah, not even a little bit.
Nah, he's him. Pleasure to meet you, mate. And obviously, as we jump into this one, I'll keep it simple so you can go and prepare mentally and physically. Your team has been the talk of the town, but also other people have been saying, maybe they had an easier group. How do you look into this one? Reply, throw a punch.
I mean, they're not wrong. I think we have had a pretty easy group compared to Group A, with the exception of Freddy, of course. I mean, I think this game is probably going to be our first like really challenge. So we'll see how it goes.
I like it. And when we look into your team, the way you play together, what's the ambience like within the team, if possible?
To be honest, we're just playing on vibes. Like, if you listen to our comms in NLC games, you wouldn't think that we're playing in NLC. Like, we're just 5 friends that are just completely vibing and chilling. Everything from the draft to the end of the game, it's just we're just having fun.
So how do you even make calls? Everything is going smoothly. Everybody is just having the wonderful time. You know, it's that meme where one is just sweating and the other one's just singing in the room. Like, how's the comms?
I mean, we're 4 Norwegians and 1 almost Norwegian guy, so we're kind of just we just know what we want, and it's just working. You know?
So when you look into the upper bracket, I would like to know, how do you feel this is gonna go? Obviously, you have big names. I was talking with another player today, and when you're loading into the screen, you see those big legends names. It doesn't get you nervous; it gets you excited. No. When you get the opportunity to play with these legends. How do you think the upper bracket will go?
I don't think, at least for me, I don't get nervous. I don't think my team gets nervous either. Like we've all been playing in like both our top mid and jungle has been playing in high ERLs for a long time, and both in like solo queue and stuff, we always meet these pros, so it's not any difference from there.
Final question for you, and good luck for you as well afterwards. The spear that pierces the sky. Remember this? Something that was on social media and everything. Like, that was poetic. That was a Shakespeare. Like, we're gonna. What do you have to say about that? High expectation for your team, and a lot of audience is now looking into Richcon like, hey, these are the guys to beat.
Yeah, I mean, people can think whatever they want. If they want to beat us, then sure, you can try. But one advice I have is just spam Swain, and then you'll probably have a higher chance of winning.
Okay, I like it. Noname, thank you so much for this one. Have a blessed series and best of luck.
Thank you.
Go chill, go prepare, do your thing. I'll see you soon, mate.
Thank you. I'll see you.
Just vibing
Yeah.
in the rift. Just vibing. I love that. Did you
I-
get like your questions out with this?
Yeah, we got some good answers here. I thought this was really telling, right? Because there is no doubt, especially with how Lost Ratones looked, that Group A likely, even if it only had them, but they also have Nord, right? Bulldog could beat Radisac. So it's fair to make the argument Group A has been stronger than Group B. But at the same time, it does sound very confident that they can definitely compete with them. And I think Nomi's right in that exchange.
Okay. Jamada, I think this is the first time for you on the desk, or maybe second.
Second.
I don't know.
Second, I did-
But
I
did
did a
you
desk
play a
last
game before?
Oh no, I've not done a game show. I've actually not looked at the run of show today because of my tardiness. So I'm excited if this is a prelude to participating in one. I'm here and
So-
I'm ready to destroy the young man to my left-hand side.
Ooh, we've been
Okay,
hitting
that's
off with
cocky,
some
that's cocky.
new games ideas. We've been having like Who Wants to Be a Challenge and others. But Jamada, this is new for you then. We do a few game shows at the NLC broadcast for you back at home. Jamada, we have a special prize at the end of the split to whoever wins the most amount of game shows.
What's the prize? Hold on, do we know? Is it a surprise? If you tell me right now, I'm locking in. I'm
I'm
locking
just
in.
saying. The prize for the individual who has the most amount of game show wins is a romantic dinner with all you can eat sushi with me. I'll bring a rose.
Oh, I'm locking in. I'm locking
Time to lock in,
Alright, Yo, give us the game show. Give us the game show now.
Let's play!
Now.
Who am I? Champion edition.
Oh.
So, what does this mean? Oh, look at the song. I love the vibes. I'll
very
provide you
80s.
with some clues, and you'll have to try and guess who's
we
that
don't even have the
champion.
picture. Damn. Okay.
Raise your hand if you know the answer, and I'll give you a point.
I'm nervous, man. I dropped a stinker yesterday. I can't do it again. No back-to-back stinkers.
Let's
from me.
go.
Come
You
on.
can
First
do it
clue
again.
for the first champion. Screaming is reinvigorating. It's not me. I swear.
Yeah.
Invigorating.
Oh,
Brian?
duck. What?
Ria.
Brian.
Right. Yeah. She screams.
My
you know,
man, it's actually Brian. Hey.
It is.
Hey, I had no idea
It
you
is?
would get this on the first one.
That's
Wow.
the
We're
goat,
not
man.
ready
Come
for
on.
that. Okay, the second clue would be my ultimate provides mobility, and 3 would be feats of strength. That would be the third clue. So Duckling, you got Brian. You got 1 point. Congratulations.
Did I
on
give
that
more
one.
than
I'm
I get on the
actually-
first hint? Surely that should count for more than 1 point. That was really impressive.
2 points for Duckling. Production told me. Okay. Look at that smile. Look at that smile.
Come
Okay, second question. Jamada, lock in. It's a romantic dinner with sushi. All you can eat sushi.
Yeah, I'm here.
And the rose. You pick one, but
Oh.
you get 2. Ah, you said oh, but you didn't raise.
Game's the game, bro. Come on. Gotta log in, huh?
Duckling!
Yeah, it's Kindred.
Oh, he's locking in. He's locking in. He's locking in so much that he got it wrong.
Oh. Oh, huge.
Second clue.
What?
Adapt, overcome, rage beyond measure. Oh,
Hands off
Jamada.
camera. I'm sorry.
Yes,
Nah.
he knows it. Jamada comes in and swoops in 0 points because he gets
That's
wrong
a
as well.
crazy thing though, because it's not 2 persons. It's the same person.
I know, that's why it's
just
wrong.
like you,
It's wrong.
It's like if
wrong.
you just shaved your beard, it would still be the same.
Duckling, it's
Oh,
wrong.
it's wrong. Never mind. It's
It's
perfect
wrong,
game
apparently.
show. Perfect game show. Perfect game show then. What? Move on.
Third clue is I am deep fried courage and an apple pie of angry. Oh, Jamada.
Kled.
Colette.
and
There you go.
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
Actually. That has to-
Woo! 1
Yeah,
point
okay,
for
okay,
each.
okay.
Okay. Ready for the third one?
Yep.
First
Go ahead.
clue. How about we talk with our fists? Oh,
He got it.
you know, Duckling.
That has to be said. And if you're baiting me, fair enough. I'll take it. But it has to be SETT. Talk with
Have
the
you
fist.
seen?
He's the punching guy.
Have you seen a show recently?
No.
By Riot?
Evidently not. Ah.
Oh, so it's one of those you're thinking. You're dropping hints there for Jamada.
Well, his. Unfortunately, he's already given his guess.
Yes, I guess I'm locked out, but I mean, come on.
He's locked out, right?
He was the next hint. He was the next hint.
So is he? Well, the first question is, did he get it right? Before I say mine.
He did! He actually did!
I mean, that is a simple one too, and that's 2 points again, right? First hint. So that should surely be.
No way, man.
Wow,
I'm just saying. Surely.
He's sweeping, he's sweeping.
I'm locked into
Okay.
it, man.
Duckling getting close. Remember, the last question gives you 5 points. The fourth one,
Fantastic.
to be sneaky, is to be successful. I have to go with Jamad on this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to say
Yes.
Evelyn, but
Ooh,
the only reason why I'm doing this is because I think the other obvious answer is somehow going to be a bait, and Evelyn is actually the one that we're landing on here. That is my logic.
Wanna
There's
lock it
one
in?
really obvious answer. I'm locking in Evelyn. If it's not Evelyn, then it's rigged.
The question and the answer is not Evelyn.
I mean,
Second clue. Pow, you lose. You were like this, Duckling.
you're right, you're right.
I don't know. Jamada.
Okay, it has to be Twitch then.
The sneaky little rat. That is incorrect.
Okay.
that was my first guess too, to be honest, because he does say sneaky when he cues, right? That's what I was thinking. And now I'm kind of lost for answers, so go to the next clue. I'm not gonna guess on
Third and
this.
last clue of the fourth question. People complain about Atakan Revive, but I have one as well and no one plays me. Ah, Jamada!
It's Akshan.
Action!
Action!
Action! There you go.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
Okay.
Final question. Final champion worth 5 points. Everything is on the line for this one. Arcane is coming home.
Well, he put his hand up kind of like... Oh,
Okay, but you didn't put it on your screen, mate. You didn't put it on your screen.
It's not my fault this camera's so damn narrow. What you
You
want
put
me
your
to
hands
do
up like
about
this
it?
or something, bro. Like, surely.
You know how wide my damn
This
shoulders
is
are in
mine.
this frame? Like,
Okay,
you want me to put my
because
hands
he
up in the
goes
middle like this? Like, what
Yeah, you go to the gym every day then, bro. Hey? Okay, come on. Surely that has to be Victor. Surely that has to be Victor.
Go ahead.
Duckling.
Surely that has to be
Victor.
It's gotta
You
be
said
wrong,
Victor.
but it has to be Victor, right?
Victor.
Yeah.
Victor.
No, Victor. We're already done with that part, man. Duckling, not even close. Second clue. All about power. The song even started again, and I can see it in your faces. You are really confused. I got you in your heads. I got you.
Is it Ambessa? She wants the Arcane back home, not back home, but to Noxus, and she's all about power.
Wow, yeah.
Now we talking, Duckling. But
You're
keep
baiting
talking,
him.
because it's wrong.
Okay, I thought that was a good guess. I'm gonna be honest. I still think that's a good guess.
If
Final
all about
clue.
all about.
And
Oh,
be ready.
Can
This
I
is a
guess
voiced cue.
before the? I haven't seen the third. I haven't seen the third one. Oh well.
Just guess. Just guess, Jamada. I'll be happy for you.
Well, if that isn't Swain, then I don't know what else to say. There's not many other bird champions. It's Swain or there's one other.
That's Fiddlestick, you know, right?
Right?
He's very happy
all
to bring the
about
Arcane home.
power. All about power. The arcane stuff. It's gotta be Swain.
I think
like
that's
the
it.
Gotta
whole-
lock it in. You gotta say the
It's
magic
locked.
words.
It's locked. It's locked.
It's locked. It's locked. Production, show us. I'm not even gonna say it. Swain Jamada wins the game show.
That was a lot of pride on the line there. I'm happy I could pull through. You know, these young bucks these days, they think everything's easy.
I'm just gonna say it. I was the only one to get,
put
you know,
them in their place.
once on the first 10. Grandpa here over to my right here. Needed 3 clues for each one.
Congratulations, Jamada. Your knowledge about League of Legends, it's top notch. Duckling, better luck next time.
I've lost 2 in a row now, man.
Rich Gang versus Verdant Esports. This is the big menu. Look at them. What can we expect? I want to know, like, who are you defending? Come on, who are you defending right now? Rich Gang.
I mean, I'm looking at Rich Gang here today, right? They look good in the group stage, whereas Verdant did stumble a bit. And then I'm very keen to see Horhor now in Fearless Draft, because he is a player known for his massive champion ocean, and I'd like to see that be utilized here today and play to Rich Gang strength.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the thing that makes this matchup very interesting is the fact that Verdant's players should just categorically be playing better, like individually for one, but then also on the side of actual cohesiveness, teamwork, macro, the pairings that you'd expect to see on the map, right? Jungle support, jungle mid. These guys are just not linked up. They're not synced up at all on timers where you would expect them to be. And I think because of like the mix of individual errors that we're seeing in terms of players like I'm gonna call him Obi because I prefer that as a nickname for him. Soz Obstinatus. Like, you're just getting the treatment today. Like the individual being caught out in places where he's looking for a pick, awesome, but then you're looking so hard that you're putting yourself in a position to be compromised, and then that completely screws up the rest of the setup for Verdant. It's a consistent thing time and time again, whether it's him, whether it's Noname, and I think that's really hindered their ability to play around objectives, and that's one thing right now in this meta that you can't really afford to be weak at, right? And it's one of their key weaknesses right now, whereas on the opposite side, like Duckling was saying, with Rich Gang, everything's running smoothly because they're already on the same page. It seems like Verdant need to find that same page themselves. Otherwise, I think we're in for a very, very quick series.
Good point. Interesting. But what is the line we should be focusing in? What is the one that might bring the most bloodshed?
I would go back to the mid lane, and that's also because Ronaldo's been playing very aggro this split. He's had some decent fights, but he's also been caught out a few times because he's simply too over-eager. I think him and Horhor are two mechanically good players going up against each other. Just the thing is, one is in way better form, and that is Horhor currently.
What about my boy Banderas?
That's also exciting.
Fun.
I mean, you can always talk about Banderas in this game, right?
There's always a reason to talk about Banderas, but also I think Puppeteer has had I don't know, it's strange because I feel like if you really zoom in and you watch some of the ways that Puppeteer plays team fights, it's like really hit or miss so far this split. I think he's had incredible games, or like sequences on the Rumble where he's just pretty much 1v9ing a fight for Verdant, or some of the decisions I'm seeing out of him in those later game team fights are kind of to be polite about it, not optimal, right? Whereas I feel like with Banderas and the way that Rich Gang have been utilizing him so far, whilst some stats or a majority of these stats here lean in the favor of Puppeteer, I feel like the impact that Banderas has been able to have off of some of the unique picks he's been able to bring out, and just his overall flexibility as a top laner has yielded a lot more results for Rich Gang, not just in wins specifically as the results, but the actual in-game game states.
Yeah,
I agree. And I was not expecting these stats, for instance, because Puppeteer is always that gentleman that is on the background. He's doing his thing. He's farming up, he's setting up, and then he helps the team. At least when he played in Portugal and all that, he used to play like that. And apparently he's keeping up with the same treatment on his line with Verdant. So do you believe there's a way that you can set it up and just farm versus Banderas? And then you can bring up your lead into the rest of the team? Because I don't think Banderas allows that.
I think it really depends on side select here. I think Banderas is a far scarier player on red side than he is blue, just because of the depth of champion pool that he has and his willingness to, throw out the true side laners like Fiora, Camille, things like that, where it's a game warping pick, and that's always what you want out of an R5 in general. But out of the top lane specifically, it's always the scariest, because you end up in situations where it's like, you remember the Ruddy Sack game on day one. Yes, Yamato top lane, haha hee memes, but even if that was Perks in that position, it's like Perks probably gets exposed the exact same way, just to a lesser degree, right? Yeah. So this is the scary thing about Banderas as a player. That level of versatility is something that you don't always often get out of top laners, or you don't often see utilized out of top laners. And I think that's what makes the matchup so unique to me, is that Puppeteer obviously statistically has had fantastic laning phases, so has Banderas, but Banderas to me brings a little bit more of a known quantity of depth of play, as opposed to Puppeteer, who's a little bit more narrow in how he's being used right now by Verdant.
Yeah. I'm so glad you brought in the expose, because I believe today is a big subject, not only for yesterday, but for today as well, because of Fearless Draft. If it's picked, no longer available for the rest of the cities, by the way, for everybody at home. We're still on BO3. As soon as we go to lower bracket, it's BO5, and good luck getting champions for the entire cities. Jamada, you were talking about that, and definitely chime in as well. The idea that this sort of individual that can go into the top lane, pick anything and just force you to a battle, to a brawl, this is heavy because you're starting to lose those champions as you go on with the cities and you're running out of options. Banderas is not going to run out of options.
And I think that's a key point to Rich Gang as a whole, right? Because this doesn't only apply to Banderas, but it applies to Ho-Ho. It applies to Noname, who'll play these mages as well. The amount of flexibility this roster has will make them really hard to draft again, even normally. But in Fearless Draft, it's like tenfold worse. It is horrible to draft against these guys in normal circumstances. Fearless Draft, make it 10 times worse. It's going to be a bit of a clown fest in the draft, I want to say, but in a good way, because it'll be so hard to predict exactly where the members of Rich Gang will be going in terms of the pick.
I agree. Jamada, when you look into the Fearless, you have a lot of experience. We're jumping into it right now. First game already on the screen. Verdant versus Rich Gang. Rich Gang red side, as you stated. Concern.
Yeah. A little bit of concern. My expectation here would be that Rich Gang probably ended up with side select. I don't have that information at hand. But being the higher seed, my expectation is normally most tournaments are set up like that. And right out of the gate, Verdant just trying to shut down that versatility throughout the rest of the roster. Not directly towards Banderas, but with the Swain pick, right? And Nyx as well, I think, probably had the best showing on Viego. So a lot of immediate targeting here. And with Rich Gang going Corki on red, it does maybe leave room open for some of the OP picks to make it through here, like a Cassante, coming through, maybe a Rumble as well. Because Rich Gang, the likelihood is now, with the Aurora ban coming, they have to take the Skarner out, right? Unless they're willing to pull out an Ivern into it, which, to my knowledge, I'm not sure Nyx is necessarily a big time Ivern player. That has to be the third ban, and Sante's gone. Papatero's Rumble is what rises in priority to my mind once we see this third ban come through.
There you go. But the Kalista, for instance, is available. She has been banned non-stop, the Varus. But this is AD carry-wise. Top lane should also be a big target. And apparently we're already getting some picks, but don't worry. As soon as we're capable, we'll bring them in. Mid lane, you also have almost the entire champion pool there, so comfortable for Haha and Ronaldo as well.
Yeah, does seem like we have a bit of an issue with the pick ban graphic. We will get that resolved as soon as we can. I actually forgot to log in to be in the lobby, so normally I would be able to have this information at hand. We are getting fed the picks. Unfortunately, this is a little bit more aligned with, unfortunately, the Riot API and how things work with this kind of this kind of setup. Hopefully, we can get a resolution there. But it was Rumble first pick out of Verdant, which is no big surprise.
It makes a lot of sense, right? Getting that secure for Papatero. I'm excited to see if Rich Gang will now try and play for the lanes, right? That's normally the thing you do to unsettle this Rumble. But I do feel like someone like Banderas is the guy who will say, nah, I don't care. If it's the Rumble, I'll gladly pick something into it and then just beat you in lane regardless. Ooh. So looking forward to that as we get more updates. We'll obviously get them to you. So it's a Galio and Varus or Rich Gang in their first two picks, when the response then from Verdant will be the Rel and the Ezreal. So, okay.
And they're kind of building up some sort of big team fight composition, the Rumble, the Rel, and the Ezreal in favor of Verdant. On the other side, Varus doesn't have a lot of mobility, so you have to be taking that into consideration. Wukong is one of those junglers that is available, but apparently it's going to be Alistar the pick for Rich Gang. So just to put everything on perspective for the viewers back at home, left side, I'm going to do this because my hands are mirrored. So it's going to be Rumble first pick, Rel, and Ezreal. On the other side, it's going to be Galio, Varus, and Alistar. And we're just trying our best to feed you with the bans as well.
Yeah, we'll obviously update as we get more. I think so far the draft here is a bit not so surprising from Rich Gang, right? It's very standard here, not that many flex picks prioritized early on, but I do assume that they want to, at the very least, hide the matchup for Banderas. But, I mean, then again, you're going against the Rumble, so why not pick it already? That's probably my question. Again, the Galio could be flexed top, to be honest, so there's a chance, but it doesn't really scream a Banderas pick. But already, right, a bit of the confusion and the fact that Rich Gang are so flexible in their players, make it even hard for us to then predict where these champs will be going.
Yeah,
I think I was waiting for your intake as well.
Yeah, no, you're fine. I think right now, what Verdant have come in with makes a lot of sense, right? You pick up the Rails power pick. The team fighting compositions have been generally what they've lent into, and it's very, very responsive from Rich Gang so far. And I think now, the fact that we've got the Galio in the mid lane, the ability to potentially ban out two AD mids as well to kind of keep that matchup safe, or one AD mid and then one like annoying mage or a jungle matchup that they don't want to have to deal with. Super frustrating. And as we're being told, it's Akali and Sylas that have been banned out by them, and then on the opposite side, Wukong and actually a Hui caller.
Yeah, so they're also opening up for the flex, right, of the Galio. But
yeah, of the Galio going into the top lane against the Rumble, which does make a fair bit of sense. Maokai's locked in now for Rich Gang, so that should kind of settle that debate. Though again, Maokai can technically go into the top side. I'll be surprised if Bandera is willing to pilot it, even into Rumble
versus Rumble. Yeah,
Maokai's a good champion at actually dealing with a lot of lane bullies. I feel like Rumble is potentially not on that list of champions that he could deal particularly well with.
I mean, it's a tree. Rumble burns like doesn't make sense.
But I think my main question
good.
My main question is, why haven't they then locked in the champion for Banderas yet? No reason to hide it for last pick, when you already know what you'll be going up against. So, I mean, this to me gives more credibility to the fact that it could be the Galio top lane, because I simply don't see why you wouldn't have picked your top laner by now then, and not try and hype something different, because, yeah, you want to obviously get the counter pick in with the R5. That's the whole point of being on red side, really, right? Getting that counter pick.
Yeah, so I would expect it's going to be Ho-Ho's counter pick more times than not then. Orianna locked in. So for Verdant, that is, and it's just a full-blown team fight composition. It's going to scale, though. That's the thing, right? Between Orianna and between Ezreal, they are going to need time to hit, the first, second items. Whereas Rumble and Xin Zhao likely to act more as the bridge and the overall skirmishing around things like the early grabs, maybe an early dragon if lane swaps come in. So we'll see how, again, Verdant are looking to execute on this composition, because there's a lot of fairly committal engage tools that they have. There's not really a lot of non-committal there, and they're gonna have to, in my mind, again, execute very, very, very well, as Jace is locked in finally for Rich Gang. So still technically a flex in terms of Galio and Jace being able to go into either lane. I would expect that if you're Galio, you want to play into Orianna, so that should be a Bandera's Jace.
I agree. And now with an Ending Despair coming back, it's available again. Mel is not available throughout the entire patch, but Jace has been using that item a little bit more often, alongside some runes as well. But we have also seen some Jaces playing with AD. I'm not saying it's regular, but it's Banderas, so keep that in mind. They're just having fun, as they stated, and so far that fun has provided them with a really powerful seeding. So when we look into this, any last takeaways?
Oh, I mean, I think Rich Gang have this, to be honest. I'm very confident in them, but I will say, considering it's a first seed versus a fourth seed here, they should be favorites, but this game could be closer if the Verdant players step up. In particular, I'm looking at Mishi on this Ezreal to really have some agency.
Okay, Jamada, final, just tell me a name. Give me. Rich Gang or Verdant?
I'm going to go Rich Gang. No additional context. I think Galio is going to break this game kind of hard.
Interesting. Let's see if that's going to hold up as soon as we jump into the first game of the day. I'll see you soon. Casters are ready and waiting for the Summoner's Rift, so let's hear what they have to say.
Well, hello there, viewers. You're looking mighty beautiful today. I am joined by an equally beautiful person in the dropper of Foxes himself. How you doing, Dan?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm excited to be getting some good old League of Legends action.
Right.
Yeah, it's playoffs time, baby. So we had some cracking series yesterday.
Yes.
And if we get even half of what we had yesterday, then I'm going to be satisfied.
We really did, I think. Lost Returners came in and showed people why a lot of members are really, really excited about them while all this hype's coming up. And then Ruddy Sack got sack-tapped, bluntly. They had a rough old time. Bulldog came on in and took them apart a little bit, especially after what was a pretty shocking turnaround, right? They had to go through the tiebreaks to even get there in the first place and really prove their worth. But we're on the other side of the bracket now. We've got Rich Gang versus Verdant, and the first drafts are in. And it's an interesting segment. Not quite sure whether it's going to be the Galio top and the Jace mid or inverted as yet. Still a little bit of stuff to figure out then. We are waiting to get into game. This is a quick tech pause. So we've got a second or two here as well timed production to tell us we've got that tech pause on our screen as well. What are you thinking about the draft so far, Dan? What are you thinking about the matchup in general?
Yeah, I think so. Jamada hit some good points on the desk as well, in the sense that what Verdant are looking to do is a lot of team fighting. Rumble ultis,
Yes.
you got Orianna ulti, which can be delivered by Xin Zhao jumping in, and Rel jumping in, all that AoE CC too, and then the DPS from Ez. So it reads like a pretty stereotypical team fight comp. But on the other hand, Galio, really good at countering these things. Even the likes of like Maokai and Alistair can put a spanner in the works of what Verdant want to do. A well-timed Alistair headbutt, for example, gets rid of Xin from the middle of the team fight, right? And if he was the ball delivery system, then suddenly that's a big problem too. So I do like, we've got a bit of range, and we've got a lot of like anti-Verdant tools on the side of Rich Gang as well. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that one plays out, and the lane specifically too. Obviously, as you mentioned, I'm not sure if Jace is top and Galio's mid, or Galio top and Jace mid, but the matchups top side, I think either way, if Rumble was against the Galio or the Jace, that's quite hard to play into. So it's going to be hard for Pepitero, a player that we featured coming into this matchup as well, to really get going in this game one.
Unfortunately, we are going to have to wait a little bit longer before we do get going. We're going to have to throw to a break, guys, while we figure out this technical pause. See you in a moment or two.
Saying as well, this could be bad for Venom Crest as they've caught out the carries and they will punish them. Hamza unloading the bullet time and Mauki's dead. Laurie is dead.
We ready? Who ready? We ready? Motivation to youth only. Mentally feel like Kobe. I'm like Jokic with the rock. You physically couldn't hold me on.
Just give it onto Santorin and onto Treat, but it's not onto the valuable members. Matty in the backline takes out Rusty. Just jumps on it and shows Rusty how it's really done. Triple kill to X-Matty.
Circle stronger than Cuban links. My gold dance, your gold plated. You verse me, now that's a reach. We ready? Who ready?
Nemesis goes looking good! Sonya's over Papitero. Reckless though will step on forwards, gets the concussive blows down onto Mishi, who is stunned up and dead to right. Ronaldo backing away, just shy of being stunned himself. Triple to Crowdy, who is the real king of the game. Los Ratones 4-0. Early game, be damned.
I'm not being petty. I'm the one they envy, bro. They moving state to state, make a million.
We want to know me.
Yeah, they really want the shutdown and they want it on Biscop, but instead he quickly gets turned around on him as he's now down to half. Bits are already gone. Komsky just going into the meat grinder that is Rich Gang. This is a horrible fight as the flank coming through as well. This could be all for Biscop looking to escape.
We ready? Who ready? 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 We ready?
Still there, looking over the wall as Option Artist. He engaged with the counter-strike, and of course the magnet stalled, and Jaws 2 dead! Lightside picked their moment! A white Verdant off the board! It is deforestation in the name of Lightside!
Only mentally feel like Kobe. I'm like Jokic with the rock. You physically couldn't hold me. I don't care if you pushing 40. You can never little bro me.
It's on Bitsa, and here comes the combo. It's on to Only Hustling, and he's singled out and taken down. Good stream and ultimate as a re-engage. Leader now coming in from the flank. So perfect execution available. 5-point strike connects as well. The damage is good, and he finds 2 immediately. And the next up is Fade's 3 quick kills.
We ready? Who ready? We ready? Who ready? We ready? Who ready? We ready? Who ready? We ready?
We are back and into game. It took us a hot minute. There was a client bug or two that needed resolving, but it's all hopefully been solved. And we've got game 1 of the series between Verdant and Rich Gang on your screens live and not in a pause. There was a little bit of a stack up there from Verdant. I was wondering whether we were going to get a little level 1, but I can stop musing and leave it as that as the wards have been put down. Maybe in potential expectation of a lane swap or something, but it's not going to happen. And we have got a bit of a confirmation as well, Dan, that it is going to be the Galio mid and the Jace top.
Alrighty. So we're going to have that ranged into melee matchup in the top side of the map. Always tough for the melee champion, that Rumble. But Papatero, you know, he loves this Rumble a lot. And he has been a carry option for Verdant so far. He has the highest damage share on his team. And when he gets these carry champions, he has been superb. And a lot of the team success comes from how Papatero can play and whether he can have that success individually, which then transitions to success on a team-wide level.
That'll be interesting to track as well, because obviously he's going into Banderas as well, right? Who is one of the most well-known top laners in the NLC system. Obviously, we've got a few very big names coming in this year, so his previous kind of title as most successful NLC top, or certainly one of them, kind of been fought over a little bit as it stands. See whether he can manage it. Papatero can manage it here into the Jace piloted by said player. Not too much more to write home about as yet. I did wonder, to be honest, mate, whether we would be seeing that Galio top is something that a lot of the LPL and LCK teams have been really, really pushing. Pretty much ever since BB did it at, I want to say, Worlds and MSI last year. It was really struggling to find answers into Rumble top lane, and people decided that Galio was the only real way to do it.
Or either outside of lane phase, it's still going to be really strong, right? That red carpet comes down, you get some big team fights going on, and then the Galio ulti comes through and really helps to mitigate that power. But I mean, to be fair, like, if we're talking Rich Gang and we're talking the strengths of their team, like, it's so hard to... I mean, we've mentioned top, we mentioned mid, but Noname and Eski probably being the best bot lane that we've seen so far, not named Crowny and Reckless, right? They've been absolutely absurd. Their KDAs are through the roof, the 2 highest in the entire league. Like, they are just, you know, Rich Gang is a team that definitely plays around their bot side. And with Varus, Alistair, like, you can certainly take a look and see some agency there. Maokai coming through, Galio coming through, like, my goodness. So once we reach level 6, especially, like, the 10-minute plus mark, like, I would expect to see some really chaotic stuff happening bot side, because you can dive pretty well with an Alistair ulti, and with standard lanes, we might just be seeing some of that.
And I think Rich Gang in general were a little bit of an unknown quantity, as Ronaldo gets a really nice chunk there onto the Galio, having sidestepped the Justice Punch, and next found his way into the lane up here versus the Rumble. I don't know how easy it'll be to find and engage as Banderas just go hopping on forwards with it to the skies, but I think he's just trying to get that shove in. Might bait the Rumble a bit further forwards, isn't the mid lane? That Galio is in a dangerous position. Wind becomes lightning, secures first blood for Noname.
Good first blood here for the Xin Zhao. Very aggressive early game champion. Both these teams locking those in. And it will be the bot crab as well. Let's take another look at this play. So Ho just really wants to get that shove in before he resets. But unfortunately for him, just a tiny bit too aggressive. Tiny bit too greedy. He has to respect that though. You know, you've got a Maokai. Your jungle is the top side of the map. You have to at least assume or respect the enemy jungler could be on the bottom side of the map. So unfortunately for him, he doesn't respect that and he does go down. So first blood over to Verdant here. Great start for the Xin Zhao, and yeah, we have another pause, unfortunately. We'll get some, we'll get some information on that.
Name. Yeah,
exactly. Forward that through. But yeah, I mean, there's not been a lot of happening, right? It's been like 5 minutes into the game. We do have that first blood. We can maybe touch a bit on the feats of strength, right? Because that does put a little bit of a pressure on the early game. Now, it has been changed, right? So if you're used to the feats of strength being first blood, it's not like that anymore. It's the first 3 kills. So yes, Verdant are off to a good start with that, but they haven't secured the feat in and of itself just yet. So we'll have a look, have to see how that one develops to see if they'll be picking that one up down the line. And obviously outside of that, it's either first turret blood or first to 3 objectives. So yeah, if Verdant can lock that one in early, then that will go a long way to help their team fight comp, or that extra move speed and the free stats as well. Always good when you're buying heads against your opponents.
Yeah, I think that is a very reasonable way to be looking at it. And I think we're also kind of in this position, right, where certain teams have started to plan for those feats of strength at least a little bit, especially when you start being able to leverage that into things like Atakan. And those early objective setups and early kind of metrics to fight over, so to speak, have become increasingly important. I think particularly the Atakan spawn, because it's that single buff that tends to be able to lead into a Baron if you leave it a couple minutes after spawn. If you do get that Atakan into Baron combo, the game feels very, very difficult to come back from. We are back onto the Rift as I lose my co-cast for a second as he tries to choke his way to death on air. Don't do that, mate. I need you for at least another 2 more games, so please
I
don't do that.
believe that's all right. I'm chilling. I'm surviving.
Sure?
I'm thriving,
Okay,
surviving. Yeah. Yeah. So good. We've got that resolved. All good stuff there. We'll take a quick look at the items as well right now, because a big spike. Well, I say a big spike, a relatively big spike for the Maokai here for its clear speeds is getting that Fated Ashes. If you can get that on your first recall, then
huge.
you're all sorted. Yeah, exactly. So now he clears a lot faster, and faster jungle clears means more opportunities to be unlocked on the map, ready and waiting to make these proactive or these reactive plays. Either way, the PvP plays. So keep an eye on that, because that's Maokai, right? That's what he loves to do. He can find himself some victims, specifically if he can blow some flashes before these objectives come up.
Absolutely that. And the saplings with a Scorch Claw and a Leandries is actually a surprising amount of really obnoxious poke from the Maokai. He then tends to go full tank out. That tends to be the way. Unending Despair is back and available as well, so I wouldn't be surprised to see that one being the second item of choice. The Dragon being considered here by Noname, who hits straight over the wall at the level 5 mark. Looking to start this one up very early on.
They did spot this out though, Rich Gang. You can see that ward on the entrance to the chicken area, and it was pinged too, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if Rich Gang see this one. They can't stop it. They don't have priority bot side. That's being pushed in by Mishi and Obstinatus. They don't have priority mid lane either. Ronaldo getting a good push in. So yeah, with Maokai top side too. Just perfect timing here for Noname to go for this invade, and this Dragon Sword, and it should be answered by a topside play here as Nyx looks for going on a play with Papatero.
And goes that W down. That should be a very dead Rumble. Nowhere to go. Tries to turn it around though. Nearly gets it. Does not have enough burning kit to quite bring down the Jace, but I applaud the effort.
He tried, didn't he? He tried right there, and that's actually a big W right now for Rich Gang. As this is just going to be a rush here. Yeah, okay, cool. So because we have this mid pro and yeah, exactly, the supports come through. All right, this damage that Papatero is able to put down before he died means that Rich Gang can't just jump over to the grubs. And very well read here by Verdant to secure this one. Like getting an early dragon and the early grubs, it is a fantastic victory. And now they only need one more objective to get that feat of strength here. To get those 3 objectives. So they're on the right track right now, and that's a great early game here for Verdant.
I think Verdant as well were a team that slipped under the radar a little bit. Obviously, they've been a team that's been very successful in years gone by of the NLC. Started to get contested a bit when Ruddy came in. Obviously, now the Ruddy sack, but they came in and were playing such a different game in terms of the players they brought in, the style they brought to social media. And so for Verdant, were trying to be one of the more imperious, calculated, confident teams. And this split, they come in and they were a little bit down in the barrel after that tiebreaker scenario where they kind of got blasted by Bulldog, who turned on the afterburners towards the end of that seeding part. They're having a great start to this game. Noname getting both of those early objectives, got that first blood. They're at a really good spot here, at least in the start to this game. Even if the gold lead is non-existent right now, some of those early moves could well pay dividends in the minutes to come.
It's a good confidence start as well for Verdant. Like, this is a team that, as you mentioned, kind of sucked early here in the seeding stage. They went 1-3, and then in the tiebreakers were unable to get past Bulldog. So hold that point is Obstinatus might just be getting caught. Level 6 from Nomi. No, just going to be hopping away. But the only win that Verdant got here in the seeding stage was ironically their first game, where they had to run with a sub top laner who is a jungler, and they ran their jungle sub mid, and Ronaldo went top. It was a very weird situation, ironically against Bulldog as well, who then beat them later on in the tiebreakers. But their full squad hadn't won in the seeding stage, so they really still have to find a way to build that synergy to make it work, make it happen. As we get an engage.
Firelight, this might be the starting point. Here comes the Galio from downtown, but Noname gets a kill to begin with. It is a 1-for-2 right now. Wait, sorry, I made that a 1-for-1 as Obstinatus actually does get over the wall. A lot invested by Rich Gang to get that off. They eventually get the red buff donated, but 1-for-1 having burned all that, I don't know. That felt like a pretty big investment.
Yeah, well, Obstinatus, he's very low here.
I mean, she's not with the most amount of mana there. He's only on a longsword alongside that tier. So not exactly the highest points of damage on either AD carry point there. It is really the base damages as the majority of what they're playing with. But everything pulls away after that little bit of a scuffle by the red buff.
So it's worth noting here as well that the kill for that play went over to Zinzao for Verdant and Alistair for Rich Gang, right? So Alistair now has double buffs, which is, I don't know, that's something.
He's notorious for his auto attack uptime.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know? Exactly. So that burn will be coming through and, you know, bring a whole lot of pain onto Verdant. But most crucially, he now has level 6. So what's interesting to take a look at here now, though, is if Verdant and Rich Gang, like, they both have 2 out of the 3 kills needed for that feat of strength for the kills. So this next kill is going to be huge, and both teams will be looking for it. And Horhor needs to be careful that he's not the one donating it away.
Having a bit of a tough old time in the lane versus Orianna, but that feels true of quite a lot of champions, at least the majors and melees. Orianna can be a bit of a lane bully with that clockwork wind-up and some well-spaced command attacks and dissonances. Recalling just off vision there as well. Thank you very much, observers, for highlighting that one as Obstinatus hits level 6 himself off the mid lane experience. Bot side though, Nomi in a 1v1 versus the Rumble. Actually turns it around pretty well as Papitero tries to get into space with no vision. Oh my, Nomi misses the Q, but it does not matter. Barrier bait, and down goes a Rumble in a 1v1.
Yeah, that's not good when your top dies to the ADC, but even more so when that gives the feat of strength over to Rich Gang. So now Verdant, yeah, they're going to need to find a little bit more to make that one happen, either that turret. And as it seems like, you know, you've got the grubs available right here. Again, if Verdant picks this up, they will then have secured that feat of strength. A lot of tracking going on for this one as we're getting a big group up now for Rich Gang around these grubs.
We will. Varus reset for Nomi. Going towards an on-hit variety there, not the poke option. To the grubs we go. Verdant starting them up. It is Noname who secures the first one, but we've got the ultimate flying as Nature's Grasp comes on in, but the turn around with the Magnum is pretty big. Eski to the backside trying to delay and prevent the easy engage. The read can engage now with the hero's entrance from Horhor. Noname very deep, trying to get some more work done with the Crescent Guard, but it runs out. Flash! Hepper! Pulverize onto 3! Flash away from Mishi, keeps him alive for now as Horhor goes in with the Winds of War, but they lose the mid laner. Galio down, hail of arrows onto the rest of Verdant as they have to back away. There's only a 1-for-1, but the health bars are critically low, and they prevent the feats of strength of the objectives going on over.
Yeah, Verdant picked up that first Scuttle Crab, so even Rich Gang isn't going to get credit for this feat of strength here. So very close fights coming through, though, for both these squads. We're seeing a little bit of a gold lead starting to appear right now for Rich Gang, but nothing significant as we take a look at this fight again. Crucially, the biggest point to take note of right now is that Rumble does not have the red carpet. He has no equalizer. He used that in the 1v1 bot side about 30 seconds a minute prior. And if this red carpet comes down here, if it is up, like, that would do so much pain for Rich Gang. So much pain for Rich Gang to just ruin them in this choke point. But Eski, huge plays. Got 2-man Polv before, a 3-man Polv again. Like, the CC was just that little bit better for Rich Gang. With the cooldowns available, they're able to come out on top.
Ronaldo was lucky not to get killed by the Void Grubs on the way out there. Those auto attacks were taking him down to sub 10 or so HP. He was looking very, very low. Towards the bot lane we go though. Nomi at 2-0-1 on the Varus. This guy has been a bit of a revelation for Rich Gang. Torok was shouting him out on Twitter. He was talking in the interview as well about saying, you need to ban Swain against me. Confident on such a wide variety of champions and been one of our best performing bot laners, as you were kind of saying, realistically outside of Crowny and Reckless. It's Nomi and Eski, and they are delivering here in this game. A 1v1 for the Varus versus the Rumble already happening as well. turning up when it matters here in playoffs.
It's really interesting as well, seeing how Rich Gang perform in this game. We hold this point. Banderas is getting low.
Boy. Nowhere really for him to go. Gets a knockback and gets one with him. That's not bad going.
Okay, that's good. That's good. In a 3 versus 1 to pick up a kill. You're also securing Dragon on the other side of the map. So, good stuff there, actually. I think Banderas will be happy with that. But to the point that I was making here, you know what? Hold that because Papatero's now getting dough.
Flash away from the chains of corruption as Eski used that Hex flash, but here comes Nyx, looking to turn this one around, lands the ultimate, and Eski tanks an exact amount of shots, will still go down for it, however, but it's another wave lost and another plate going the way of Rich Gang.
Gosh, it's just, it's happening all over the map right now, isn't it, for both these teams? It's taking a look at this topside dive, so Banderas in a 3 versus 1, Obstinatus takes the initial aggro from the turret, and unfortunately that aftershock just isn't enough to keep her alive on the rail, so trading 1 for 1 in a 3 versus 1 isn't ideal, and both teams did that there. Both teams were able to donate a kill across the other side, but crucially, it is Rich Gang who gets the Dragon as well.
That they do. But Gold Lead continue to sort of bleed towards Rich Gang right now, and things like this Jace being up 30-odd CS in your Rumble is not a great space to be, especially with the Jace going towards the Shojin build as well. We are starting to see a little bit more of this sort of almost fighter style of Jace a little bit, trying to get through as many rotations as you can. It's not the full tank, even if it isn't the, I guess, the Eclipse builds of old we used to see a little bit more of on the Jace.
Exactly. I was expecting to see something like an Eclipse come through, but I think he's going to go for like a more maybe, like a Hex Drinker type thing.
I think it's Muramana and then, is it Black Cleaver? I forget. I have seen this build a fair amount, but it's kind of a fightery build. We see it a lot over in LPL, LCK kind of areas.
Gotcha. He went for the Merc Treads. I saw the Null Magic Mantle and got baited a little bit.
That makes sense.
Thinking,
I'm with you.
Double magic damage solo plus an Ez. Like maybe you go for something there, but no, it's cool. He's got that Merc Treads early on to keep that CC down and a little bit extra move speed. I think okay, nothing's happening there. Noname's jumping in.
On to Nyx, who does take a bit of a chunk from, but this Maokai not built any tank stats as yet because he has gone towards the Leandri, so not the tankiest of champions unless he can get through an aftershock or, I suppose, a phase rush. The ability to run away, not to stay tanky. Apologise there, as I should have read the runes earlier. Poke begins to land from Banderas, even as Eski has it traded back because the Trinity Force is completed on Machine. He's beginning to prove it there.
Yeah, and he's almost done with his Mirror Mana as well. So he'll be having heaps of damage once that's all finished and come through. Worth mentioning now as well, though, that Noname, if we take a look at the builds here too, is going for an on-hit build, right? We did wonder if it was potentially a lethality Varus to go alongside the poke from Jace as well. But it will be on hit, so he's going to have to get pretty close, and that can be quite dangerous with Rumble, Xin Zhao jumping in, with the ball from Orianna to Rel. Like, that's going to have to be one of those situations that Noname plays flawlessly to keep himself alive. Does have some protection, of course, from his team to make it a little bit easier, but it will still be difficult to navigate.
Could well be. It has to get to that point. As yet, as top lane we go. Banderas being jumped on by a load of people. The knock away to prevent Eski from keeping his top lane. And flashed away onto the Blasco. Keeps him out to safety. The teleports come flying on forwards. There's the W is the twisted advances there. Kill onto the Orianna. Shut down at that. No way a Rich Gang getting away with every single one of their members alive. Surely not Optimus now comes on it, but there's a hero's entrance. You can't keep engaging like that. The shielded around just shy on Noname, and Rich Gang keep their top laner alive. Banderas gets out like a bandit.
And then he TPs immediately into mid to look for this tower as well. So it's going to be the Grub, the Shelly coming through for Rich Gang. 3 kills in their favor, and there's still no contest for that mid. We'll take another look at it because it is Verdant who are the initiators of this play. It does look like Banderas is going to be in a little bit of a pickle in this 2 versus 1, but that Shojin with a little bit of extra health in his inventory is going to keep him alive. Like, he will be dead at that point right there if he'd gone for a squishier build. And Rich Gang, they're just there a little bit faster, a little bit sooner. The Avengers collapse happens before Verdant can, and there's not much else to happen there. It's just simple mathematics. 4 is greater than 2, and the 4 comes out on top.
Some nice quick maths there from my fellow Brit, doing his job spot on there. But the play might be hot, but we're going to chill it out for a second or two here. So we're going to be having a Dragon spawning in 25 seconds or two. But actually, I say that, it's not going to happen, because guess who's being ganked again? It's Banderas, who's running away, gets a speed up with the form change. As his Mercury Cannon turns into a hammer. Top lane turret will still fall here. Worth noting the Rich Gang did pick up the feats of strength because they got the first turret alongside those kills, so they can begin to upgrade those shoes at some point in the near future. Dragon spawning, and all the while in the picture, also in the minimap, you can see that Nyx is over there starting that one up with the rest of Rich Gang.
Yeah, and that first tower that went down was Banderas surviving, right? He survived, went home, and immediately TP'd into mid and was able to take down that mid. So it was close. Like, Banderas almost insta-died in that fight, which would have changed the whole fight. But then, obviously, it then turned into even more. So game of inches right here in game number 1 between Verdant and Rich Gang. Rich Gang undefeated so far in the NLC, and they're really showing us why. Some proper quality plays coming through, something you would expect from a team that topped out their group.
And there you go, that's the second item in the build. I knew it wasn't what I thought it was. It's the Fimbulwinter Senka, which is right. So you just try and get through as many Qs and stuff to get the slows to activate the passive on the Fimbulwinter, so you can get through as much of that as you can. It's really obnoxious, because obviously Shojin reduces your basic ability cooldowns, so you just keep jumping on people in hammer form. And you're really sticky and very annoying.
Oof. Banderas as well with that demolish coming through on the turret. He might find himself in a bit of a pickle though. Noname's coming through.
Flash. Trying to turn this one around. There's Noname at the back end of it all. Gets the knock up with a 3 Talon Strike. Another Electro Harpoon comes on down. He can't quite get in range to go to the skies, and instead ends up going 6 feet into the dirt. Dies finally in those 1vx scenarios. Mishi completed the Muramana on this Ezreal. Could prove a little bit dangerous if we can start to land a few of those skill shots. Contesting over that top side river happening, especially as Ho-Ho was being given space to claim the top lane tier 1 turret. But now Noname once again looking for a wraparound, succeeded on Banderas. Let's see if we can make it happen here on the Galleon with Atakan up here on this top side. Conversion opportunity into a very big ticket objective. Gets a shielded Durand off. Blocked from getting the Justice Punch out, though. Might mean this Galleon's in a dangerous spot. Obstinate goes cantering forward, trying to get on top of Nyx. And the jungler falling could prove absolutely disastrous here for Rich Gang. Atakan is there and they don't have the smite. How angry do they want to be?
Yeah, Nyx sacrifices himself there to save Ho-Ho, but around an objective, that's always a little bit risky. It seems as though they're not going to, Reddit won't be able to convert that into the Atakan, however. So it's just a pick going in favor of Verdant. A well-found kill right there. But nothing much else right now. Even vision-wise, they've been able to set up a tad into Rich Gang's jungle, but nothing too oppressive or too difficult. You would imagine Rich Gang at this point actually just kind of postures around this Atakan themselves. A bit of back and forth between the vision setups, right? Just sweeping out, placing your own vision, and then the other team comes in, rinse and repeat. This is what I'm expecting to see for now, because we don't really have a lot else going on, right? Like, Dragon's not spawning, you're probably just clearing waves on the other side of the map as well. But potentially, you know, we have a lot of playmaking tools. We could actually find a way to get some plays, get some picks to make that Atakan more approachable.
Worth noting as well, there is a Herald and inventory for Nyx at some point as well. Might well try and wait a minute or so if they can to try and time it with the Dragon to give yourself a bit of guaranteed lane shove, which can be really valuable when you're trying to set up for those objectives. Bit of a damned if you do, damned if you don't scenario. But that will be a minute or so until we get to that point. Ho-Ho, though, will finally claim the remaining outer turret for Rich Gang, and now just out of the tier 2s for now is Ronaldo. Not hurting this Galio anywhere near as much as he once did.
Yeah, Galio's chilling now. He's got 2 items. He's got the upgraded Swifties. That's Magic Resist coming through as well. He's laughing, but someone who's not laughing, Banderas, he's getting hunted down again.
TP to the tier 2, try and keep him alive. Gets the knock away with the hammering blow. Turn back towards the Mercury Cannon and get a bit of an accelerated shock blast down. Of course, this build not quite as damaging with that, but there is the turn with the Maokai ultimate. Nature's Grasp comes on in. They'll jump onto the Rumble, who is rumbling no more. Has been stilled by the might of Rich Gang. And you know what's up? Atakan is there and they want to play with the man advantage. Noname over the wall is still on visions as teleports begin to fly down to half HP. Try and play this one up. Sinasa with the engage. The shield of Durant will be knocked away from with the Crescent Guard. Is staying alive for the moment. Long upstairs into the backline with the Magnus all trying to buy some space as Nomi just forces auto after auto after auto. The hero's entrance on in. Tusho Faraz brings down Eski. Atakan secure. That'll be the withdrawals available. Wow. Verdant would like to burn a few before they can be really, truly used. They get another one. Banderas goes on into the backline, will likely fall as well, and they are all withdrawing. 3 lost before they can be used on the map.
It was a decent salvage from Verdant, but unfortunately, if you lock in that Atakan, it's all done. It's all done. No one dies, apart from obviously that initial death from Papatiro. Something to keep your eye on here, though, is the shockwave from Ronaldo. He's got it up this whole time. His whole time it's up. Like, it's up, it's up, it's up. He doesn't use it, and when he eventually does use it, right here, it's a one-man shockwave onto Nyx. It's not good. Like, if he was able to find a bit of a better shockwave, able to find some more members, that fight may have gone a little bit different, but just couldn't find the angle. And as such, they don't get too much else apart from some of the withdrawals.
It was a shock ripple, really. There wasn't exactly looking like you were going to surf on that wave, you know? It
was more of a mildly surprised wave.
Yeah, there's no Pikachu involved in that one. Maybe like, I don't know, a Wurmple. As Ho gets on in, gets decent shielded round. There comes. No way! I thought that might have been a bit of a steal, but no, it is secure. Put 2 dragons apiece. Ho claims the side of the Rel. Down goes Obstinatus again. And they'll kill off Noname to boot as well. They lose 2, but do stop the soul point coming on through for Rich Gang. Problem is, there's still
Nash is
more
up
of this
in 10
withdrawal left to use,
seconds.
and Nash is up in 10 seconds. You're absolutely right, and you just lost your smite for 30 seconds.
That's it. We see the pings coming through the map. Eski is, he knows it. He knows it. Here we go.
Oh, beautiful. Pulverized. Still got the headbutt available. Doesn't need to use it. He's got a Z's convergence at this point as well, just for a little bit more value when he ults.
Oh man, it's all falling apart right now for Verdant. It was looking like a good start, especially towards those feat of strengths, right? We got some early kills, the early objectives. Like, it was pretty groovy stuff for Verdant. Unfortunately for them, around these team fights, Rich Gang have really just come into form. And when we look at the team compositions of what these teams wanted to do this game, Verdant will thrive as a composition in these big dogpile team fights. But to be perfectly honest, we haven't found them. Like, we haven't found any big 5v5s where we can get the red carpet, where we can get the shockwave. Like, look at this. Obstinatus just instantly dies, doesn't really get too much back, right? And like, where's the big combo coming through? It's just not available. It's just not available, and as such, Verdant can't succeed.
And credit over to Rich Gang as well, because they're doing a fantastic job of fracturing the team fights. And you've got a lot of tools to do it, right? Like, Alistair feeling up for Eski has been making some phenomenal re-engages. You've got the Galio to re-engage. You've got the Maokai who's throwing out these ultimates as well, and it's preventing easy moments to get the Wombo combo off. You've not really seen that many good windows, and despite some solid early plays, despite the Ezreal being at 3 items now, Mishi, who has played a lot of Ezreal in his career, might be looking at kind of continuing a pretty unsuccessful career trajectory on that one. I think he's only 25% win rate on the champion. It's not always been the easiest for him. Banderas flashes on out the attempted engage, but Obstinatus burns all his tools and doesn't even get a single champion in the Magnus. Papatiro is hanging out at the back end of this play, looking to see whether he can find an angle for that red carpet, but there's just no VIs to P at this point, as Banderas will get a kill onto Noname, who is definitely feeling like the second best jungler this time around. Noname will try and find a moment here. I apologize, he was the one who got the kill. I should have been reading the kill feed a little bit clearer. Now maybe they have found their moment. Noname into the back of the fight, splitting up onto Nyx, who will get the phase rush away. Ho goes down. Mishi picks up that shutdown. And we were saying Verdant were looking like they couldn't find the angle. They just did.
There was a 4 versus 5, right? Ho was in mid lane pushing, and the rest of the Rich Gang didn't quite get the memo. They went a little bit too far under the bot side turret. And I think the actual lane allocation, like if you look at the mini-map here, it makes sense, right? It makes sense for the Galio to be pushing in mid, and then you group up as a team for Rich Gang. But at this point right here, if any semblance of a fight is happening, Galio now needs to move from mid into bot and collapse in with the hero's entrance. But that doesn't happen, and Rich Gang even actually kind of engaged this fight, right? Banderas jumps in with the hammer form under that tier 2 turret. So it's just a little bit disjointed. I think in theory, good setup, good idea, but great punish from Verdant to recognize that Rich Gang were getting a little bit too greedy there, a little bit disjointed.
I mean, that was very deep from Banderas. I hate, there's not many other ways to put it. Like, the guy went very, very deep, took turret aggro, got knocked under the turret and died. At which point it's a 3v5 until the Galio can join. And it's not the easiest from there. It could come as a bit of a price here, as it's given Verdant an opportunity to set up around the dragon spawning in a minute. So it would be sole point for either team. Reminder, Verdant did get the last dragon on the reset from Baron from Rich Gang. Cost them a couple members. But, not anything more. Sorry, reset from Atakan. It was the Baron they got afterwards. I do apologize. I don't get my order of events correct in my brain. Still, though, a minute or so until that one spawns, and Banderas continues to shove up in this top lane. At this point now on the Jace is nowhere near as a threat from this Rumble. He's actually gone towards the Bloodletter's Curse as well on the Rumble, which is not an item we see all too much of in general, honestly.
Nah, but Rumble seems to be one of those champions that picks it up. Like, I think there's a funky interaction with the Q on Rumble as well.
Right.
Yeah, within that.
Like stacks it really fast or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, no, it's looking kind of tough here for Verdant. Like, they were able to find some kills just now, and it stems the bleeding a little bit and puts a pause, especially on that Baron push. But it pauses things for a bit, but they're not able to proactively actually create anything of their own. And this next big timer, which is this dragon, has spawned right now. Verdant kind of maybe between a bit of a rock and a hard place. They decide to contest this one with their big team fighting comp. Can they find that angle? Can they find that big combo with the Orion, with the Rumble ulti? It needs to happen, and it needs to happen now.
Aperture and Upsnartus in a good space to potentially make it happen, but Nyx and Nomi so both off. The Banderas being jumped on. The turning around, the equalizer comes on down. Mishi staying alive for now. Gets a kill onto Banderas. Flashes away. But what about the turret? There's Shockwave on 3. Gets money, health bars low, but not down. Verdant with better range can start to play this one as Nyx goes down. That's the smite. You asked whether they can find the combo. That'll do it for now. Trying to find the shielded around. Ho can't quite find it. Nomi down to 10% HP if that, and that's sole point for Verdant.
Great team fight. The great team fight for Verdant. They found their angle. That's exactly what we were waiting for. And it's the Shockwave again that you need to look at. Like, yeah, they find Banderas isolated, out of position a little bit up here on the rotation. But it's a good collapse answer from Rich Gang, so much so that it doesn't actually mean that much when he gets collapsed on. But it's this Shockwave coming up here. Boom! 3-man Shockwave, including, and most importantly, the MVP in Noname. Because when you look at Rich Gang's team comp, when Banderas is dead, who's going tanky anyway, like, where's that consistent damage coming from? It's all Noname, right? It's all Noname. There's a little bit, obviously, like, Ho-Ho's not damageless, but he's not the same. Like, you can't compare him to, like, a consistent damage ADC. Once that Shockwave went through, it was all curtains for Rich Gang. And Verdant coming back into this one very impressively off the back of those team fights.
And the Jace is on this off-tank build, right? You've got the Unending Despair, and that's great if you can be in the extended team fights, but he got popped before he got to do anything. It was a good pick, and the setup was there from Verdant, and a game that was looking increasingly like Rich Gangs to lose. They got the Atakan, they got the Baron. It's looking trickier and trickier. Now this Ezreal, 3.5 items, picks up a Vamp Scepter on top of the last Whisper. You've got 9 stacks on the Dark Seal for Ronaldo, who is having a really good game after a quieter mid-portion. Can really begin to sting if he hits a good combo. Noname, player I remember when I first started casting League of Legends. He was in the UKEL a few years ago. Now here at Tier 1, threatening one of the better teams in the league. Could be a real threat on this Shinzao if he can be a good delivery system for that Oriana. Oh, there we go. Took me a second. Can find that fantastic delivery system. I was going to call it a Relo. It's like, no, that's also a great option to go in as a combo with, but it's not the Oriana ult that he's supposed to be delivering.
Yeah. Not the one we were thinking of, but a good point nonetheless. And that's it. I think, we've seen a team fight so far that didn't go Verdant's way. Ooh, hold on, he's just dead.
A big one.
Wait, but Nash is up.
Yeah.
The Nash is up. He's your vision man. You can't die like that. Oh dear.
He's looking for a moment, and everyone else backed away, and he got a little bit caught on the retreat. You've still got Poke, but I think this is just going to be started up. Can they find their way? And Eski going to be the bodyguard, the bouncer here. Going to try and keep Noname out because you're not very important. You're not on the list. Who the hell do you think you are? You are a no-name in this case. Turning it around now, there's the taunt afterwards, and Noname is surely dead to right. Buys a moment or two of that, but it actually sends him knocking Eski on top of Mishi! Oh no, that's not the Crescent Guard you wanted! Trying to stay alive a little bit longer. This Ezreal buying some space, actually getting some decent damage down with the Mystic Shot to Ronaldo gets a decent chunk. Wait, oh wait! They haven't finished the business! Now Banderas is in danger, gets hit with another Mystic Shot, and Mishi still alive, Ronaldo's still alive! And he's hitting a few key shots on target! Nomi does his best to turn it back around and makes it an even enough trade. This Varus no slouch either.
Yeah, Obstinatus has respawned, but I think he's just sweeping vision. That is going to be it. But my god, what a fight right there. Like, Nomi right at the end almost turned it around. That was so back and forth. It looked like it was going to be so good for Rich Gang when they got that great collapse as well. I think they're TPing in to start the matchup, by the way. Verdant are, but take a look at this. So immediate turnaround with the Maokai ulti. Dead jungler, you think this is it, right? You think this is all donezo. Ho getting in on Mishi, like the ADC, really taking a lot of pain here. But it's Ronaldo's Shockwave. 3-man again to save the ADC. Now keep your eye on Nomi, because the rest of this team fight is pretty disjointed for Rich Gang, but Nomi flashes to get to one side to keep this into a 1v1v1 rather than a 1 versus 3. It's such an aggressive flash, but so smart as well. Saves the team fight for Rich Gang. But as we mentioned, while that replay was happening, you could see in the picture-in-picture, the corner of your screen, it was Verdant picking up that Nash now. So the gold is almost evened up here. And it's Verdant with Nash at 34 minutes into the game.
And we've talked about it a little bit. Rich Gang's damage, not the highest. The burst is okay, but the range with this Ezreal now at 4 items, the Orianna looking for the poke as well. Even this Rumble, you've just got more consistent damage from Rich Gang, especially if Nomi can't do what he was doing in that last fight. You've gone for the tank Jace. What happens if the armor keeps getting stacked? If the MR keeps getting stacked, you are going to struggle to be as threatening as you were in the mid game. Soul as well, triple Infernal Dragons on top of all of that. Poke could prove really, really deadly to manage. Banderas will claim the tier 2 in topside, but that's a small prize for the dragon spawning in 10 seconds. So Nyx gets a decent ultimate across here though. Chains of Corruption land, but it's only really on Obstinatus, who might be forced to flash on out. Eski goes on him, but has got the ultimate himself to stay alive for a moment or two longer. Obstinatus re-engages, but there's the hero's entrance. It's too little too late. No, he has got himself the Crescent Guard going back onto the back line with Nomi. They lose Banderas. Horror in danger. Goes down as well. Mishi with the double kill. Nomi gets one, but he's surely dead. They've got Baron in a wave. Verdant have it all.
That's going to be game right there. Just knocking down the towers. It's formality at this point. Verdant were looking right up against it. It was not their game for the first 20 minutes, but their team fighting was so good. And off the back of their team fights, off the back of this wombo combo right here, they find the first win in our best of 3, and it is Verdant who takes down Rich Gang.
A team that went 1-3 in playoffs, who got upset in the tiebreakers, hand Rich Gang their first lot in the NLC proper. They promote this year. They go 4-0. They prove everyone wrong with all of these incredible rosters coming in, and Rich Gang come in a little bit arrogant in some ways. They are so confident and kind of let it slip away from them. Verdant here to play, man.
Yeah, that's the thing is I always say this when there's an upset, right? When there's an upset, it's often because like the underdog gets kind of just finds an early lead, they snowball it, whatever, you write it off, you go next. But that didn't happen this time at all. There was no early game lead for Verdant. They were losing handedly, and they still found a way to bring it out. Like, to me, that's a sign of quality. That's a sign of a team that actually isn't perhaps not as big an underdog as we thought. Like, bringing down Rich Gang in and of itself is impressive. The fact that they haven't lost yet until this game is even more impressive, and the fashion that they did it in, for me, I'm very proud of how far Verdant have come from their seeding stage to where they are now, giving us a really strong series.
They really, really are. But to break down that game 1 upset, I think it is fair to say the desk has it from here.
Spend a fair amount of time here. Oh.
Yeah, we can, and that was a lovely game 1. I understand, Jamada. We can spare a fair amount of time because we have a lot to discuss on this one. It was an amazing start coming in from Verdant. They were looking towards feats of strength, but Rich Gang showed up. And I want to highlight that because Verdant started off good, but Rich showed up. And I want to highlight how good Rich Gang were playing and how they were playing.
Yeah, I think Rich Gang's biggest strength in the mid game, I'm looking at Eski, right? I thought he played those mid game fights perfectly. Flawlessly zoning out and splitting up this Verdant roster. That was a bit of a deathball composition, right? They wanted to pile all in together. Whereas, you know, the Rich Gang wanted to split up. Keep your eyes on Eski here, right? Because Verdant get the right engage, but Eski makes sure Ronaldo is out of range and useless in the beginning of the fight. Because Obstinatus gets a good engage here on towards 3. What does Eski do? Happy Tiro, Ronaldo not able to do anything in the fight because Eski keeps them away. And what does Eski do next? Well, he finds another brilliant engage soon after.
Yeah, I mean, it's just about the space buying, right? And the kind of understanding of where Verdant want to be and where he can be, what he can do to disrupt the flow of those fights. And this was probably the best example out of this game, right? The reposition, air quotes repositioning, just kind of hiding off in fog of war and waiting for Verdant to overextend. He's already expended a lot of his health bar. Verdant thinking, okay, he must have backed off. No, he should waiting for the turn inside of the chokes, and that's always one of those things as a coach as well. You always say to your team, watch the choke points. The choke points are always the places that will bite you or make and break fights, and Verdant obviously, you know, kind of disrespecting that rule a little bit, and Rich Gang capitalized really heavily on that specific grub fight.
So when we look into this, it looks like Rich Gang are building an amazing victory road towards what they needed. Feats of Strength also are going towards them. I mean, it looks like Verdant can't even play the first game. Like, Ronaldo was zoned every single time, and Noname was stepping up as well until they didn't. What happened?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of this, to me, sorry, Duckling, I think that so much of it kind of comes from design of the draft, right? We were a little bit distracted by some of the tech issues, so we didn't get an extensive amount of time to talk about the draft like we normally do. But the big problem really is that you're relying on Noname to deal a lot of the damage over time, and if I recall correctly, a lot of Bandera's build kind of lent into the Bruiser as opposed to outright, you know, damage or even tank. It was like the kind of Korean version where you go Shojin into the rest of the tank items. And it just wasn't enough. By the time you hit 2 items, 3 items, if you haven't snowballed with, you know, Galio, Maokai mid, even with the on-hit Varus, you don't really get to auto-attack a Xin Zhao. Auto-attacking a Rel is kind of whatever. Rumble, if Rumble's close enough to be auto-attacked, he's close enough to be dealing damage to you, pretty much. So, even though the on-hit was probably what was required here out of Noname, just to, you know, fix the damage profile, the problem is, if you don't snowball with the CC that you have, you end up in a situation where, yeah, cool, Oriana's going to hit 2 items, 2.5 items, 3 items, Ezreal's going to hit the 2-item spike, and then if they don't get their frontline blown up at the beginning of a fight, they're always going to out-damage you, so then the execution becomes that much more important, and unfortunately for Rich Gang, you know, time and time again, there was just one person stepping too far forward, or one great capitalization from Verdant, back to back to back to back.
I like it. As soon as you look into this, it looks like the shell as a weakness, and I think this was the moment when Ronaldo was capable of stepping in, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, this is really, I think, one of the first times we saw Ronaldo in this game, right? Because Eski this time not focus just on following the engage that Rich Gang had said, but not his eyes on Ronaldo like we saw in the previous replay.
Booyah!
And a brilliant 3-man shockwave, especially catching Noname, right? You just discussed it, Jamada, the damage profile and how important he was for these team fights. He's out already just due to the fact that Ronaldo poked him out. He piloted that fight brilliantly. And I think Ronaldo's had a disappointing split so far, but this was a game where he really stepped up. And it's so good to see the Ronaldo that people remember of 3-4 years ago coming in with these huge performances.
I want to highlight this, because we're still going to be talking a little bit more about this game, but on predictions, it was 2-0 for everyone on Rich Gang. Just pointing it out. So, without further ado, like, surprise. Oh, it could have been.
It could have been. It's not going to be now, obviously, right? But I think Rich Gang had the opportunity to actually close out that game. I think they had a big enough lead. I think they had enough control of the map where it wasn't out of reason for them to actually execute on fights, right? They had the Baron. They messed up the Baron, right?
They got Atakan too as well, you know?
Yeah, they got Atakan as well. So it's not like Rich Gang didn't have the opportunity to close out this game. I think that there was maybe a little bit too much disrespect in how much safety they had in some situations, right? Cast your mind back, we had the B-roll package earlier of Banderas getting caught underneath the tower. What's Banderas doing there, right? Again, this is kind of that thing where it's easy to snowball in terms of you're in the lead and then you lose one play and it's like, well, shit, okay, now what do we do, right? And it's just like back to back to back losses, and again, step-ups from Verdant individually, of course. Big one was definitely Ronaldo in that game, with those shockwaves time and time again.
So this brings me to the point I wanted to highlight. You fall into my trap. The idea that Rich Gang were playing as friends. They kept saying like the ambience and the way they look into this, just 5 individuals having fun with each other. So you think there was a moment where they could have ended the game, but maybe they just didn't do it because they were just not there. They were so comfortable. Is that what needs to be shifted towards the second game? Or is there something else? Because Noname was in a good position, but he couldn't carry. You stated this, Duckling. He was like, nah, Noname doesn't have the damage. He doesn't have the leniency. He doesn't have the distance. It's too hard right now.
Both yes and no. I think this team environment that they have sounds to be very good and a very good fit for them, right? I mean, Noname as well, having played with 3 of the 4 teammates before the split even started, obviously making it easy to hit the ground running. But I think they got a bit lost in the chaos, right? A bit too overexcited. Banderas a bit too hypey on some of these plays, saying, guys, let's just tower dive them into the tier 2, even when you didn't need to, because where was Hoho? He was pushing in the mid lane, sieging, playing it calm, cool, calm, and collected. So, both yes and no, but I think we saw some of the downsides of this friendly, a bit team environment that they have, where they get a bit too caught up in the hype.
I mean, maybe. I think it's difficult to attribute it to that. I think it's easy to make that connection, right? But I think for me, this was a lot more about Verdant actually finally, doing the thing where they play together as a team. Like, there was a clear click in the middle of that game where it was like, oh, we can just win team fights if Noname just walks forward and presses R and he can't be damaged by Noname. We deal more damage than them. As long as we're not getting, completely crushed by some kind of weird backline flank, then we're Gucci, right? They hit a point where even with the lead that Rich Gang had, the game was playable. I think this is a little bit... I wouldn't necessarily attribute the kind of the ambience or the environment that Rich Gang have completely cultivated for themselves. I don't think that was necessarily a distraction. I think they just got too comfortable with the game state and thinking, we're probably so far ahead that we can't lose, as opposed to that. And again, the Verdant step ups for me were kind of the bigger attributes than anything else.
I think it is a good mix.
Yeah, tell me.
I do think that's where the point stands, because Verdant certainly knew how to play those final team fights way better than they did in the early game. But also a good mix of Rich Gang just being lost in the hype. And whatever the reason for that was, it could be the ambience, it could be, just losing your head for a few seconds. It happens, right? Concentration will sometimes slip up. We don't know, but yeah, a good mix of both. Best game from Verdant this season, I want to say, to be honest.
And this is why this is Cities. This is a best of 3. So it's your time to lock in for Rich Gang to look to try and recover this match. Or Verdant, they can lock it in and just move on. Another upset in the history of NLC playoffs for Winter Split 25? I don't know, but I know we're going to toss it to a break before we jump back into Champion Select for Game 2. I'll see you soon. Don't go anywhere. We are a few minutes away before jumping into the second one that could be the decisive one in favor of Verdant, or maybe Rich Gang will take this opportunity to come back. This is the first time they did get defeated as well throughout Winter Split. My question is, when you lose for the first time and you're so used to not losing, things can get a little bit rambunctious, or maybe it can get a little bit confusing, or maybe that's the drive you need. Like, wait, calm down. We're Rich Gang. We're the spear that pierces the skies, remember?
You know what, though? I think what's good is, we brought up the whole friend, power friendship, the environment. I think normally in those kind of settings, those are the best settings at dealing with, like, issues and dealing with immediate loss. You do definitely need, like, a one person or two people maybe even to kind of stand up and be the leader in those kind of situations, but I think they're a lot easier to talk out and to come to middle grounds compared to other team setups where perhaps, it's more akin to, a bunch of strangers who more or less only know each other because they're on the same team now. So I think that we shouldn't be too worried about Rich Gang. I think they still showed a lot of their clear strengths through, like, the early game skirmishing and just their overall coordination. It's, to me, this series is a Verdant story. This is like, how do Verdant continue to hopefully, be the players and the roster that we expected of them with the name power they had coming into the split.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point as well to bring out there. And on the Rich Gang point, right, as well, they'll be sitting there thinking, we should have won this game. Sorry guys, we ended a bit, we made a few misplays. And while, yes, Verdant did also step up, Rich Gang don't have to account for it. They have to account to themselves and say, we misplayed some plays that gave them the opportunity to come back. We can easily win the next game, right? I think they should be feeling confident, and from what I know and from what I've seen from these players over the years, I don't doubt that they'll come into game 2 with a clean slate, looking to tie up the series.
And also, Jamal, you were a pro player. I think you were. I
Briefly,
think back
for like 3 games, bro. I will never. I'll never take the mantle.
That then. Okay. I'm not even bringing this up. No. The idea is, as a player, maybe you can attest for this, Duckling. I know you distributed waters for the team and got something, but the idea that losing a game where you're just getting beaten up, it's like, hey, it is what it is. Losing one of these, it's like, okay, where did we fail? Good, we know how to fix it. If it's a back and forth non-stop, that's the hard one. That's the hard one where you're like, oh, we had it.
I'll go ahead and say that depends on the team. I think a team like Rich Gang,
100%.
I think a team like Rich Gang would just bounce back.
Oh, they're comfortable, yeah.
We messed up here. Let's go ahead and fix this issue.
They know. Right? That's the thing. They
know where the issues are. That I think they'll be happy to change things and adapt based on that. Other teams perhaps I could certainly see imploding a lot, more. I feel like you could. There's examples in the league. I won't name them, but I think we all have a pretty good idea of teams that will definitely implode and that kind of setup.
And Diego getting removed. Aurora and Skarner as well getting priority. Victor is out in all those picks up there. You can see they have been removed from the cities. They are no longer allowed. And this is the Fearless Draft. Now we get the draft as well. Oh, pretty for all of you back at home. And there's the Corky. I need to take a peek if we send any tweets, and I'll let you know as soon as we go into the game. We'll talk about that. But Xante, though.
We saw the champion locked in. That was where we fell short last time around, right?
This is a big first step.
That is a
big first step.
Small step for man, giant step for NLC mankind. Absolutely massive here on the desk in game 2. Getting that Xante, I think it's a safe pick, especially considering the 2 other meta top laners having now been removed thanks to Fearless Draft. The now would be a reasonable response as well, so very standard so far, nothing shocking.
Yeah, I would love out of Verdant here if they gave us a Kalista bot lane. I think when you've got the Xante already locked in and you're dealing with a Nara on the opposite side, I think a lane swap situation really puts you in an awesome kind of level 1 through 3 setup where Xante is going to do well on the low economy, and if you've got a Kalista that's going to be far ahead and you're potentially going to be laning against the Jinx, this feels like the freest potential response. In my mind, it does put you on a bit of a execution, timer in the sense of, yes, Jinx will eventually outscale flat out 1-to-1, but I think you get so much agency through being able to do this that I would love to see this come out from Ishku. Something like just straight up Kalista and R, or Kalista plus a really strong diving support would be incredible here. We'll see what they go for though. There's the Kalista for 1, and I'm hoping, again, you can very easily blind something like the Renata just because it's the combo and you don't really have to worry about it. And I think this puts Rich Gang in a very difficult position now where it's like, okay, what can we feasibly go for support? If we go an engage support, then like it's not really going to do much in the sense of helping deal with dives. You could look at something maybe like a Rakan, so you get to scale well, but then, you know, you're really sacking the early game at that point. Lulu, I actually quite like as a bit of a out there answer, because Lulu's pretty damn good at dealing with dives, right? Between the polymorph, between the shield, obviously. You can make dives really awkward, but then you have the innate scaling that comes with a Lulu. So I like this, and hell, there's even potential for it to technically be flexed. I think Lulu's a great solo laner that doesn't get utilized perhaps as much as she should. But of course, when you've got Jinx, you're likely going to see that in Eski's hands in the support role as now we hit ban phase 2.
Yeah, I agree with you, Matt. I think it's a very nice response. So the Nice go to the jungle and the mid lane. Those are the 2 lane to mid lane from both teams currently. With Galio, Orianna out, yeah, the jungle Wukong is the expected ban. We've obviously already seen Skarner removed, as is a must in the current meta. Yeah, I'm a bit curious to see what they'll do here now. I could see the Lulu go mid, to be honest, just because Ho is the player to bring that out.
He's the kind of person to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Sure. If there's one guy I would expect this to flex it, it would be Ho. But we'll see as the draft progresses. At the very least, Verdant continuing to trim the mid lane pool, trying to limit the champion ocean that Ho has.
But for that, you need to bring something as a tank towards Eski. Probably try to provide some safety net for a Noname. Because when you see the Renata with the Jinx on the other side, you don't want to see a Jinx attacking your team plus the Kalista. That's going to be scary during team fights. Jungle being diminished, and now maybe we get to look into the jungle and then save the mid lane to make people wonder whether the Lulu will go bot or they will or mid.
Yeah, I mean, I like these bans here from Rich Gang, but it does kind of make me a bit concerned in terms of what their own jungle is going to end up being, right? Because there's no Xin Zhao, there's no Maokai. Sejuani's removed away as that last ban. Wukong and J4 are both gone, so like at that point you're looking at like real tanks, like old school stuff, like Olibear, Udyr, Vi. Still up actually. Xin, they can't lock that in, so it kind of just leaves Vi as the only thing. And I expect that Noname is going to have an answer for the Vi, even with the jungle pool being as trimmed out as it is. Worst case, you could still go Nocturne. It's not the best diving, you know, early game pressure jungler, but in terms of being able to supplement the pressure that a Kalista Renata lane should be able to put down, even in a lane swap, that should be fine. And then you also should win the 1v1s versus a Vi early on, right? Between the Spell Shield and the Fear. I think that gameplay loop is really difficult to deal with. We'll see where Noname decides to go, though.
Because it also makes life really hard for a Jinx in the middle of the fight. Okay, it's not. It also makes it hard, but there you go. Kind of squishy team. What you paired up with the mid.
Yeah, I mean, I think this sets up Zyra Yone, likely, the combination here. Typically, you want to see Zyra be the solo AP. I guess also, yeah, if Ronaldo is not super comfortable on the Yone. We've seen him on it before, though. A more scaling option to give you backup when you know you've got Kalista in the bot lane is Smolders, double AD. I like it. They definitely do lack more than just that one frontliner in the Kasante, though. So I am a bit concerned for how team fights are going to play out. They're very, very vulnerable, it feels like, to, you know, mega dive engage. I wouldn't mind Lulu going mid here. You're not really going to be able to shake, you know, Smolder mid. You get priority, and then you play some kind of extra engage on the bottom side, but it's likely going to be the Lulu support, and we'll see now what Ho-Ho's got in the back pocket.
Okay, that's the Kog'Maw mid lane.
Oh, Fearless is so good.
That is Ho-Ho. I mean, yeah, Ho-Ho is certainly a man to watch in terms of what he picks out there. I am interested in that Zyra, though. That doesn't really scream Noname to me. It's not something I remember him playing back in the 2023 days when he was in the NLC, or looking at his champion pool. It's not the traditional champions he plays either, so I'm interested to see if he'll feel confident on this, right? He's normally one who likes to go forward, likes to be the engaged, so we'll have to wear some different hats in this game in terms of the role he plays for the team. I'm interested in the Verdant draft, but I'm feeling more confident on the Rich Gang one, to be honest.
Yeah, my big concern here, just as a closing thought for Verdant, is Noname. I think obviously he had a pretty good game one, but I think that was kind of set up for how fights should work later on. Positioning on Zyra is really important. Understanding that you have to be a zoning tool is not something that is an easily learned skill for a lot of junglers. Zyra is the champion at doing that. And I think it's something he struggled at. I think it's been a big part of his game that he's been lacking in. So I'm going to need to see a really, really good game out of Noname. He's got lanes, or specifically he's got a bot lane to really, really play around heavily. And I think that's going to be the easy, you know, path to success here for this Verdant draft. Playing through bot and just Noname full clearing on repeat.
He did a wonderful job on game 1. Can he do it again on a different role? Like same like jungle, but with a different champion and playstyle. But what happens with Cassante ultis? Where's the wall? I don't know, but I just know there's a little pause before we toss it into the game, and the casters are waiting for us. Take it away.
Welcome back, one and all, and we're straight on to the Rift in a level 1 here from Verdant as they went looking for some wards. Again, when you've got the Kalista and Renata, you want to secure yourself the lanes you want. Verdant came away with a game 1 victory, I think a little bit against expectations. Reset from the Kalista to prevent easy knowledge of where they're going. We'll note, Rich Gang here, before I hand over to Foxy, that there is a phenomenal ward here from back in Season 4. It does help spot out those lane swaps. That's what Samsung White used to do back in the day in the LCK.
Yeah, Mishi and Obstinatus are going to posture towards that top side, so Nomi and Eski will be matching that as well. Getting the 2v2, not in bot lane, but in top lane. They do want to force out this 2v2. Like, I think the range advantage for Jinx Lulu is significant, but I'm not sure you win the all-in, so this is risky.
That's a handshake at level 1, not the loyalty program. Nomi in danger, taken so low and goes down for first blood. They weren't expecting that level 1 ability. Eski takes half the HP bar as well, and you don't win those.
What? But what? I'm confused, man. I'm confused. Like, what was? I don't. Surely, what were they expecting? I think we always. Yeah, you don't win versus Kalista Rel. Sorry, Kalista Renata at level 1. Nomi doesn't use flash or barrier, just takes the L right there. I'm just like, I don't get it. I really don't know what they were thinking. Like, you absolutely do not beat Kalista in these situations. You're Jinx. Like, he doesn't flash, doesn't barrier here either. He just takes it. Eski even uses the heal. I think that's all that was. And
yeah, it was. Yeah,
it was too late. So I'm not sure. That was just absolutely tragic.
Too.
And now it's opened up the top side jungle, and Nyx is in trouble.
Oh boy, he's tried to get over here towards the red buff before Noname can start invading. He's got a ward down the other side. Puppeteero's taken really low. His Banderas has gotten a lot of value out of that. Mega Nod takes a turret shot though. Bit ugly, gets away. Puppeteero got flash, doesn't want to try and trade it, especially without the Q being stacked as yet. That got a bit risky with the turret shot coming on in.
Oof, that leapfrog there did not work in the favor of Banderas at all. Yeah, that turret shot definitely makes things a little bit more hairy here. This lane now, I was yeah, it's not good anymore. Kalista's got first blood. She hasn't reset just yet, right? She hasn't spent that gold. So for the next few moments before that first recall, it should still be relatively even in this top side. Obviously, Mishi has had that push and extra wave and blah blah blah, but it's not that extra item advantage. Here comes Nyx. He does have his flash. Obstinatus doesn't have his, and they haven't spotted him out just yet. But they do now. That minion got very close and close enough to Vi to see it. They know Vi is here.
Surely they do.
They pinged it on the minimap. They saw it. They know Vi is in the area. They can't die to this.
They're still trying to spark it off. Nyx has managed to sneak on into that bush, but Verdant are very, very wary. Is it going to be wary enough as Mishi really wants to get these horses? Obstinatus in a dangerous spot. Oh, the flash Q doesn't work. Still gets polyed though, so I think Obstinatus is dead to rights. It's not the best execution I've ever seen, but the kill is donated over to Nomi nonetheless. Hor in mid lane, low but not down. As Noname when looking for a gank himself. Mishi low sidesteps the zap and gets away with their life.
But they knew he was there.
I know.
They literally saw him. Like, they literally saw him with their own eyes. They didn't even have to, like, think about it. Like, they pinged it on the mini-map. They pinged that Vi was there on the mini-map. They knew he was in the lane.
They must not have thought they got into the bushes. They must have thought he was coming from the other angle.
Oh, man. Object permanence, my dude. That's what this is about. That's the name of the game for this one so far.
I'm an Evelyn player. I prey on this. I just assume that if I stop moving for 10 seconds, people forget that I exist.
I mean, it works. Honestly, it works. This is why she's such a killer in solo queue, because it does. Clearly is a thing. But we're now resetting the lanes back to somewhat standard as it is Nomi and Eski going to be going for their bot side.
Obsti? Okay. About to bail out. Oh no. Oh dear. The level 1 play notwithstanding, that's been some questionable moments from Verdant's bot lane.
Right. Okay. So that happened in the 2 versus 1. Banderas as the 1 gets the kill. He's going to be happy now teleporting topside to face the Cassante, and Cassante's like, what the hell, bro? Why has this guy got a kill? What's happening here? Yeah, all right. So Banderas is chilling right here. Nomi being able to pick up that kill as well to kind of reset the advantage from what we saw at level 1. And most importantly, I guess, even though he died level 1 without using his summoners, on the bright side, he still now has his summoners available. So it's not exactly a point of weakness that could be potentially exploited by Verdant, as we see Nyx using this bot side advantage and this mid push to take away an early dragon.
In the break, we were discussing about what we were going to focus on this game. We're saying, look, Mishi and Ronaldo, 2 veteran NLC players from many years ago. Mishi used to be the name of Mishi. Was on the likes of Bifrost and Eminem before they bowed out of the league. And way back in 2019, Ronaldo was a sort of super sub flex player for Fnatic Rising back in 2019 in the UKLC of all eras. And then this early game has happened where we were about to sort of do a bit of praising of Vern, saying, look, in another time, in another era of the NLC, when all of these big names and teams hadn't come on forward, where Rich Gang hadn't promoted and gone 4-0, we'd be really excited about seeing some of these players back. And they had a good game 1. And then the beginning of this game happens. You draft a Kalista Renata. You know what that means. It's about playing through this lane and snowballing into objectives and early gold. And some fumbles there from Obstinatus across from the returning veteran. That's not what you want to see as a Verdant fan.
Yeah, this is it. It's tough right here. Like you've tried to get that advantage from the draft, and it's just not. It's not turned down. These are power picks, right? These are power picks in the meta. And if you've got them and you're struggling with them, it's a tough situation. Nyx is now, both the junglers are here at level 6. Mishi is level 6 as well, but Cruci, no 6s on the bot side of Rich Gang. So keep your eyes on that. This is a great counter though from Verdant.
Flash, there's the barrier. Nyx in a seriously dangerous position. Oh, the Stranglethorns comes on through into the grasp to make sure there's nowhere to go. Bailout is there, but it's a little bit late. Means that Mishi dies and doesn't get brought back to life.
Shot down for Nomi. A 1-for-1 at the end of it. Not too bad. We'll take that one.
Wrap around. No, he's still got flash barrier. I don't think this is going to work.
Considering the advantage you have when you counter a play, especially into like a Zyra, when you've already jumped in as Vi, the fact that Rich Gang were able to pick up a kill from that one is, I mean, they can count their lucky stars, and that is going to be that feat of strength ticked off, right? The first 3 kills now in the favor of Rich Gang. We'll take another look at it. So Vi is hiding in that bush. Oh, here he goes. Now she's hiding in that bush, and they see the opportunity to just go hard and jump in on Kalista. She walks up a little bit far here, and with that ulti, you can just like easily catch people out of position. But the Zyra is just such a perfect champion for turning plays around, right? Like you have the grasps, like those thorns, and that big area of control with the ulti as well. She has so much damage. The problem for Zyra is always how do you get people to take that damage, right? Well, when they jump into
the garden, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you can't get them
precisely.
on the sidewalk. They've got to actually enter in.
Precisely, and that's exactly what Nyx did. And the fact that it was only a 1-for-1 is very, very fortunate for Rich Gang.
I mean, Mishi, I think, could have waited a second before pulling the spears out, knowing he had the bailout behind him, and kind of cost him a little bit there. I always think the fact that Vi got to stay outside of the Stranglethorns because they weren't quite low enough down, that's a little bit of, those micro errors kind of hurt Verdant there, and what should have been a clean turnaround, punishing the Vi for going too deep. Ends up in a 1-for-1. The Jinx is matching the Kalista right now. You've not really seen any difference in the early objective trades. It's 3 grubs to a dragon. And for Rich Gang, who've gone for a Jinx and a Kog'Maw backed by a Lulu, going even in the early game sounds great to me.
Absolutely. You'll take that one. You got some good old scaling. The question will be how you can utilize and leverage your scaling and your strength on the likes of Twitch and Kog'Maw when you don't really have the most reliable frontline to create space for you. Obviously, like viable, she's not a tank, right? Like she can take some damage, but she's not a tank. That Gnar as well, as you can see, like the more powerful, or the more popular, I should say, sorry, build right now in the meta for Gnar is even Triforce Gnar, right? Like to have that extra damage to put that pressure in the lane, in the side lane, and pushing waves as well. So it's not, you know, we don't have these big tanks to create space for Jinx, Lulu, and for Kog'Maw as well. So that could be something that proves a bit difficult for Rich Gang as they look to execute this team fight.
Right, next debating going on forwards. They was charging up the Vault Breaker, but won't pull the trigger right yet. Second set of grub spawns. This would be the Might spawning breakpoint. They can just get one more. Nice pick onto Nyx briefly. Can't follow up as Mishi on the other side. Taken down to 10% HP. Banderas with a Mega Gnar bar chiming out in short order. Won't be able to find an angle on him, but the health bars are pretty dicey in general, and Verdant will look to re-ingress on in here. Nyx in the back of the pit, though, will secure at least one and prevent all grubs going the way of Verdant. Rest of the fight can start to continue as Papatiro gets onto Banderas. Nyx gets over the wall. They go in with a flash handshake into the hostile takeover across 4 members. It's gorgeous stuff from Obstinatus. Can't quite secure the kill. Flash on forward for Ronaldo, though, will ensure the kill as Smolder burns the Jinx alive.
Fantastic there by the Renata. Obstinatus making up for these early lane phase gaffes with a great teamfight play right here. Banderas has caught Nyx as well.
Oh, they get the rest of the grubs to the Zyra, I apologize. Mishi just about alive. Papatiro gets the other, and they pick up a few more kills at the end of it all. Verdant coming alive. They're up 2,000 gold.
Oh man, that is tragic. What an overstay for Rich Gang here. Ho had the right idea to just call it quits, right? Once you get that first death onto Noname, you're just chilling out. Okay, cool, we got one of these grubblies. Let's just, you know, walk away and cut our losses. But the rest of Rich Gang didn't quite get the memo, right? And they even went for the engage afterwards. It wasn't good. That's a great mop-up from Verdant. You have to give a lot of credit to these guys for punishing Rich Gang for their mistakes. And take a look, Obstinatus right here. So this all begins, Nyx has been bullied out of it, but keep your eye on the Renata. The bottom side of your screen right here. It does get that engage onto Ho to put him in a rough spot. And from this moment, there it is. Boom. Flash handshake. Ho-Ho's in a tough spot. The hostile takeover as well is in a great situation. And Nomi can't play this fight. And when your 2 main carries have to dip early, it's just not happening. And I don't, you know, we shouldn't be doing this, boys. We shouldn't be going back in. It shouldn't be happening. Nyx tries his hardest to try to get that kill on a Mishi, but doesn't work out. And 3 extra kills. 3 to the side of Verdant.
Picture in picture, Verdant pick up another one of those early objectives. They're not quite at the objective breakpoint because they only got 5 of the 6 grubs. Nyx did manage to nick 1 away. All the while, though, scaling beginning to come on through a little bit. The Smolder stacking up just fine. Not quite sure what stacks he's on. I have to get production just hover over that every 5 minutes. So thank you very much. Very swift on that. 109 stacks as it stands, so still 110, well, 15 or so to go before that execute breakpoint is hit. But still, picking up an early kill, farming up just fine, is a good starting point. The other point of power, of course, is the fact that Mishi is on this Kalista. And we were saying, look, actually fumbled a little bit of the early game. Yeah, you got the first blood, but everything after that was seeing the Jinx go even. It's not what you wanted. Now 3-1-1. Got to the Blade of the Ruin King. You've had that first fight go really, really well. They need to convert that to a little bit more, though, I think, if Verdant want to feel truly comfortable.
And it's something that Verdant have just done so well this series. It's punishing mistakes, it's finding opportunities, and it's team fighting. And it's funny because coming into this series, we thought Rich Gang was actually the team fighting squad, right? We thought they were the ones who were able to scrap and throw down and make it happen. But it's just been completely reversed here for Verdant, who are the underdogs coming into this series. Like, let's not get that wrong. Verdant were in the tiebreakers for seeding after going 1-3 in the seeding stage, where the Rich Gang, before game 1, hadn't lost a single game.
Yeah, it had been really, really tough, and Verdant, they'd been able to get early leads. Hell, they were an average gold lead of something like nearly 2,000 gold, 1.8, if I read my notes correctly, as Nice pullback on the Fate's Call. The re-engage with the Strangle Thorns into the hostile takeover. Bailout keeps Obstinatus alive. Alas, the tower shots do him in, but it doesn't matter as Mishi claims both and the turret after. Ho-Ho will throw down a bit of living artillery to force the flash, but the damage is done.
I can't do anything about that one. That's going to be 2 kills over to Verdant. Just for 1 and a turret too. I'll absolutely take that any day of the week right here. And it's starting to run away a little bit for Rich Gang. So on the other side of the map, this is what Rich Gang now who've put they have the number surplus on the bot side. They can't push a Cassante out of it. They're not getting the turret either. Cassante has gone all out.
Can't quite get the turret aggro down though as Eski manages to ult himself and get away. But the turret stands important. You go ult for ult and get the turret out. Looks for a Untofo strikes part 3, won't quite do it. All the while, though, you see in the picture-in-picture, the Smolder gets another turret. We'll have a look at the replay as they try to punish the attack on the turret.
Yeah, and it actually is a really good engage and a decent play from Nix and Banderas if you're not playing versus Kalista Renato. As we hold that thought, Nomi and Eski in trouble bot side are able to survive that. Eski blowing both his summoners there. Doesn't have the wild growth, blew that a little while earlier. So it's a decent idea, but you just got to respect the fact that it's so tough to play into Renato Kalista, right? Like you can grab the Renato and then Renato turns out with the hostile takeover. It's difficult to navigate in these fights, and so far Verdant have really done a superb job, and that gold lead continues to grow.
There was a world where Verdant fell behind enough. They were a very squishy comp on the whole, not including the Cassante, obviously. And then you start face checking into Jinx, Kog'Maw with the Lulu backing, and you can't run away, and it all falls apart. That hasn't happened. This will be the securing of the feats of strength, as well as Noname picks that one up. I'll note the mid lane turret, as we kind of said, fell to Ronaldo as well. So Verdant, all lights green on the HUD right now. They're up a couple thousand gold. They've got the feats of strength. They picked up a Herald. And that's a great point of power for them. The only person with a lead right now is Banderas on this Gnar, and I don't know how easy that will be to convert into meaningful leads elsewhere on the map.
Gnar's always that weird one, isn't it? Because like you need to get Mega Gnar for fights to really have huge impact, but it's actually really difficult to time that, right? To time your Gnar bar with when a fight is gonna break out. So it means that the most reliable way for you to have impact, especially when you go for this Triforce build, is in the side lane, right? It is in the push. It's in the 1v1. But against Cassante, like even that becomes nullified, right? Because Cassante is just Cassante. So yeah, it'll be tough. It'll be tough here for Banderas, and as you say, he's the only one with the lead right now. But the scaling from Rich Gang, it is certainly there. Jinx, Lulu, some Kog'Maw action thrown in as well. See if Rich Gang giving some more gold injecting to their carries can turn this one around.
Of course, Banderas no stranger to Gnar. It's one of his most played champions of all time, but I think you can say the same about a number of top laners at this point as Gnar over the years. That said, again, he could certainly be a player to do it, and you do scale exceptionally well, and the gold lead is not catastrophic as yet. If you can hold, if you can get another 10 minutes on the clock and get the Jinx and the Kog'Maw to maybe 2-3 items, you're feeling a bit better about this, but you've still got to keep an eye on things like the Smolder. Dragon started up, Spears being stuck in. Do Rich Gang want to try and re-ingress into this river? Not easy with the lack of vision control.
Oh, what's happening top side, mind you? Cassante.
There is a 1v1. He's gone down. That's the 1v1. Banderas finds it. Dragon secured all the while, but at least Rich Gang's top laner finds something.
Yeah, and now Verdant are actually in a really sticky situation because they're getting their top tier 1 taken. Mid lane is going to fall down as well because Rich Gang can rotate there. Yeah, if it wasn't for this Shelly here, this would actually be a really difficult answer for Verdant, but they're looking for the pick onto Ho-Ho.
Flashes away. There'll still be a hostile takeover and a handshake available. Nick's down to 20% HP. Needs to be a bit wary, actually, with Noname following with the Strangle Thorns. Although Banderas just not dissuaded from charging on down to this tier 2. Unfortunately, he's only got the 1 grub to his name, whereas Verdant have 5. So they're swiftly able to claim both of these turrets in the side lane. Gnar does get that tier 2 regardless. Forced to flash on out, though. Cassante went all out. Rich Gang, though, I think all well is said and done. You come out ahead. You're the one who just evened the gold lead up. It's back to 35k apiece.
You get 2 towers top, 2 towers mid. Yeah,
it's mental.
That's quality. That's good. You'll definitely take that one, considering you're in a losing position right there. Like you lost the dragon. Yeah, Verdant were able to obviously take the bot side of the map there as well in response because of the Shelly, but that is very much worth it, I would say, for Rich Gang. Like 4 turrets just like that. Like, yeah, beautiful response, and their waves are in great spots to really take advantage of that. And like you say, at this point now, the gold lead is almost equal from a position where Verdant were somewhat significantly ahead considering the point in the game.
Yeah, they were. Are they thinking about going for the Atakan? You've got yourself the Callista. We'll start it up. Oh, Verdant. You've been known to throw a game or two around an objective this split. Here come Rich Gang. And they are ready and willing to fight. Banderas has got Meganar coming on up as well. Nomi forced to flash on the other side means the Jinx is kind of out of it for now. But Banderas in the backside. The hostile takeover comes on down as opposite. Artis will still be allowed to secure the Atakan alongside the rest of Verdant. But the fight afterwards is a little bit funny for Rich Gang. They're looking a bit poor here. Verdant, get 2, get out. And have got Atakan to their name. Hard to outsmite the Callista in the thick of the fight.
3 for 2 would work in Rich Gang's favor if it weren't for the withdrawals. But Papatira now with the face check might just be forced to withdraw himself, as well as he is doing a whole bunch of damage. Yeah, so that's actually 4 withdrawals taken off right here for Verdant. So that could be significant in this next fight, and that advantage from the Atakan is almost completely gone.
You don't get all that much value there. We'll have another look at the fight, because they were there and ready to play with Rich Gang.
Yeah, exactly. And Nix, keep your eye on him trying to go for this smite. On your mini-map as well, you can see Nomi and Cassante. The Jinx and Cassante were off doing their own thing, and Nomi had to both flash to escape the Cassante. So all this time, I don't know how long this replay's been going on, Nomi has had like 0 auto attacks. Didn't get to do anything, right? Your Jinx, and you need that Jinx when you've got the Jinx who, like, this comp relies heavily on the Jinx as Ronaldo now.
He's not got anything behind him. That's the withdrawal gone. That's all of them.
That's all of them gone. Wow. That's unfortunate for Verdant. I don't think I've ever seen the withdrawals all go so quickly.
I've got a stat for you here. Verdant, on average this split, managed to get an 1800 gold lead at 15 minutes. That said, their gold difference per minute is minus 80 gold. They cannot hold on to a lead to save their life. These mid games have been anathema to them. And you can start to see it here. A fumble on the Atakan withdrawals, and now Rich Gang find an opportunity to go on forwards. Ronaldo is dead. The shutdown comes on through. The Stranglethorns are there, but I think it might be a little too late. Yes, you've killed off the Vi, but I think the damage in many ways is beginning to be done. Verdant struggling to push to these tier 2s.
Well, it's a 1-for-1. I think, you know, getting rid of a mid laner is good, but look what's happening in mids with Rishi. He got that turret. Tier 2 turret is now gone. Or the inner turret is now gone. So it's just the inhib turret left alive. Dragon spawns in 30 seconds. It's not soul for either team, but it would put Verdant on soul point. So they're going to want to try and focus onto that one, get your resets in and get ready for it. There isn't, I mean, the respawn should come through in time to enable Vi and Ronaldo both to get here in time, but considering Verdant are here now first, it gives them the opportunity to put their vision down to sweep vision, and now Rich Gang are going to be the team who has to face check, which means, realistically speaking, they don't have anything to do here. They should not be playing for this dragon, especially if Banderas is top without teleport. Like, just guys, just dip. Just don't even whiff it. Don't even flirt with it. Just don't even bother.
An attempt with a Jinx rocket for a steal, but it's a significant amount early. They give that one up. There is a bit of a ping towards that top side. There's a wall or two if they want to try and TP onto Banderas, but Rich Gang are going to say, look, we're going to take this opportunity while you're on Dragon to shove out all the ways we can, claim as much map control as we have, and prevent any aggressive shoves for free from Verdant. And with Banderas going towards the hull breaker second, as we saw with his significant gold lead, he's going to be a real menace in the sideline. Papatiro just sidestepping a vault breaker there. It's worth noting as well, Ho now at 2 items of that Horizon focus as well on the AP Cogmore can do a fair amount of damage to some of these tankier members if he gets an opportunity to go through a rotation or two.
Yeah, and he hurts. He really hurts at this point. Like, he's the team's only magic damage, right? So there's not going to be a lot of magic resist coming through from Verdant. We can see a lot of armor, right? Frozen Fists, Zonias, there's a lot of it there, but not a lot of magic resist. So yeah, if Ho can make it happen, then he is going to absolutely shred. The thing is with AP Cogmore though, you're vulnerable to getting dove on, and it's all skill shots. So it's conditional damage, right? It's a lot of user execution as to how strong and how useful an AP Cogmore can be. The plus side is against Verdant, there's not a lot of dive, so you should be okay. But
oh boy, hang on, that's a lot of plants. They're going to have the ult to try and do this. It can go down really, really fast. They're trying to burn it real fast on the 25 minute, down to half HP, but the plants are now dead. Rich Gang coming into play, and you're still playing red side Cogmore. This living artillery, the Bio-Arcane Barrage, can do so much work from across the walls. Obstinatus goes looking for an angle that has to be called away, courtesy of Fate and Callista. But Banderas and Nyx can still look to go on forwards. Puppeteer will blast Cone away. Noname trying to disengage well. We'll get the Strangle Thorns down, but that might give an opportunity for Rich Gang to turn onto the Baron themselves if they so choose.
Yeah, Banderas this whole time was able to pick up the inner tower bots. They have started it up now. A lot of cooldowns are down. How do we play this?
Ronaldo gets a bigger chew over the top of them, flashes on in, gets to start executing him. Oh no! It's a triple to the Smolder. It is a dragon feeding ground in the Baron pit.
Oh boy, what a play there from Ronaldo. Just flaps his way in, and that is 3 easy kills. It was a little bit much, wasn't it, for Rich Gang to try and start that one back up? Especially considering if you're standing in the Baron pit, Baron is slapping you silly. And he's reducing all of your resistances too. Like, it's not pretty. And those execution with all those stacks from Smolder, 275 now. Yeah, it was just almost literally shooting fish in a barrel. Shooting Rich Gang in a barrel. Like, it was that simple. Easy peasy as you like. And I'm surprised, man. I'm surprised from the caliber of team the Rich Gang is that they would just, you know, lose it like that. Like, that seems like a very risky play to make. And I'm surprised they decided to opt into it.
And we've just been saying Verdant fumble the Atacon, the gold lead slipping away, bringing up the fact that they have been known to fumble these mid and late game scenarios on a regular basis. Rich Gang undefeated until today. We were so impressed with this team. Who'd come up from Div 2, who replaced Blue White, having been denied from joining the NLC the year prior by that organization, and now are here in Div 1, had gone undefeated, were up there with the likes of your Nords, your Ratones in terms of the level of success in terms of game score at the very least, and are now on the verge of going 0-2 to Verdant, who were, let's be frank, looking a little bit underwhelming, a little anemic, particularly after tiebreakers.
It's a real shock, this one right here. Like, Ruddy Sack losing yesterday was surprising against Bulldog. But this right here, especially if it's a 2-0, this would be an even bigger upset. It seems like Group A, through the tiebreakers, some kind of hyperbolic time chamber that really enabled these teams to come online and to find their wings a little bit. And it's been nothing short of impressive here for Verdant, the way they've played the map, and even the team fights as well. Both micro and macro-wise, Verdant have been the superior team. And now, with Nash, 28 minutes on the clock and a 5,000 gold lead, they're looking to break open Rich Gang's base.
What does Rich Gang have in the back pocket to try tonight? He's got 3 items on the Jinx. You've got 3 items on the Cogmore. The damage is there if you can only find the opportunity to use it. And I don't know whether Verdant will be willing to give it up. Infernal Soul for them in 20 seconds. Rich Gang gave up the last one. Banderas with the split push build. Going to try and trade this one up. But Ronaldo is here to try and deny it. He's going to start trading back pretty heavily here himself. And despite the split push build, despite the gold lead, I don't think the Nara wins against the Smolder anymore.
No, absolutely not. Not a squishy Nara like that. Smolder is huge at this point. Almost at his 4th item before 30 minutes. Yeah, here we go. A big fight coming through now.
It's a 4v5. Banderas can't join again. He's split pushing away. Rich Gang, are you sure? Just giving it up with the Callista spears in. You don't beat Rent plus Smite. Pulls away. Objective secured. 3 Infernal Dragons. An Infernal Soul for so much damage at this point for Verdant.
Gross.
Rich Gang, I just don't know how they come back with this kind of deficit.
You need to find those picks. You need to find those picks. Like Verdant, they're a squishy team, right? If you catch Smolder with the Assault and Battery from Vi, whatever it's called, a Cease and Desist, I think it is now.
Cease and Desist is what it is, yep. The rename
came
on through.
Yeah, the BO3 now, I'm living in the past. Could easily just find that pick, right? There's a lot of squishy members from Verdant who would fall very quickly. And that's what it's going to be. You're going to have to find a way to break up this strong unit from Verdant. Because if you go for a straight up 5v5, if you go for any clean fight, any fair fight, you're not going to win. You're not going to make it. You weren't winning, you weren't making it before this Infernal Soul. But now, especially with that, there's just no way. Potentially as well, some hero split push from Banderas if we can maybe find...
Get to that stage,
Yeah, get to that point, and if Verdant make those mistakes, but it will come down to Verdant kind of gifting that over to Rich Gang if that were to be a win con itself.
The thing is, Foxy, you're right. You need those picks. You've drafted a Vi. We know that's the truth. The problem is you're doing this into Lock-It, Redemption, Bailout, Hostile Takeover, Zyra's entire kit, flap. You know, like the Cassante standing in front saying no with a W. Like, there isn't that many dive tools. There aren't that many opportunities to lock someone down for that damage to make that pick happen without one of those tools keeping the target alive.
It's so difficult. It is. It's so difficult to find them. This is like, and a Banshees and a Zhonya's now for Zyra.
Like the tanky Kalista coming on through as well. You got the Terminus and the I think it's going to be a Wit's End coming in next, looking at the items in inventory as well. You're correct. That'll be the one. That's normally what it is on Kalista. Yep.
Yeah. Same with Varus. It's gross, isn't it? Just building tank items on your ADCs. Yeah, they are. You're not wrong. They're tanky. I mean, I said about the squishiness of the Verdant comp that. You know, they're squishy
it's true to
on
an
paper,
extent, right? Yeah.
Until you actually look at what they're building, and then it becomes a little bit more complicated. But it's still their best chance, right? And maybe some poke as well from Ho, who's spent this game being a little bit quiet. Not to say he's played poor or anything like that. It's just, you know, he's been scaling. He's been chilling, as Coldmore tends to do.
I want to bring this quote up again. I remember when we had some of the Rich Gang backroom staff on the interview saying, look, to us, Ho is the second best mid in the league. That's how good we think he is. And he's had a great split, don't get me wrong, but this hasn't really been the case here in this game. He's just been there. And Banderas, a top laner we've had so much faith in, seen do so many exceptional things in the NLC, is currently losing a 1v1 to Papitero as Ronaldo comes on down to make it an unfair fight. There is no Mega Gnar coming anytime soon. Flashes away and might be able to buy a little bit more time here. And with two members down there and Baron spawning, can Rich Gang find an opportunity here?
They have to try something. This is the window right here. You have to either engage topside or just do Nash. Yeah, he's out. He's out. I mean, is this it? Is this your option to try and find a play?
TP behind, but that's going to be very deep. Chompers will be there. An immediate bit of CC onto Papitero, but...
They could have... Yeah, I think that was your window, right? The Papitero TP was a little bit too much right there. Potentially, you could have collapsed on that one. But still, it's now the Baron dance. Ho with his living artillery.
Into Kalista smite. It's going to be so hard. Down to half HP as Ronaldo comes along with a call of moment. A hostile takeover as Eski turns on his own team down to 2000 HP. No way you're out smiting that very weighted fight. And Verdant find another Baron to their name.
Yeah, it's so tough. It's so tough for Rich Gang. Banderas is still trying to do that split push, right? He TP'd into topside and then just bombed it down the top wave and pushed that. And now he's recalled away. It's really hard to get this split push going for Rich Gang, which is clearly what Banderas is thinking about. When firstly you're building essentially full tank outside of the Triforce, right? So like the whole breaker will help you, and Triforce is good, but like aside from that, you know, you don't have the same push as some other champions would have in League. But also you're playing versus a side laner that can match you in the Cassante. And Baron buffs now. The empowered recall. It makes it so easy to answer your splits, as he actually might just be in a bit of trouble himself here. Kalista can grab the Renata. Banderas might fall.
Sidesteps the handshake. Still everyone else waiting for him. Nowhere to go. Gets a knockup, but Ronaldo just does unspeakable things. Is an execution that is probably hitting a fairly strong rating any given day. Days, this Smolder is 4 items deep, and I hesitate to see how many stacks. There is very little you get to do it going towards a Zhonya's 5th as well, just to make it a little bit harder to bring down.
Yeah, this is it. I mean, that was one of the win cons I identified was picks.
Pick an AD carry, get rid of one of them.
Yeah, it's so tough. Like, Double Zonyas, Jack Show, Tanky Kalista, like it's gonna be hard, but here we go, here's the
Here we
flank.
go. It's a last gasp. Nyx goes in, but I think he's just been nixed. The hostile takeover splits the Vi off again. Will not get Wild Growth, goes down.
Oh!
And they are dead. 2 rights. Nomi down to the 3rd HP. Mom comes calling on in. It's parent-teacher night. And I think Smolder's mum has quite a lot to say to Rich Gang. A triple kill to the Smolder. 9-1 and 2. And Verdant put Rich Gang to the sword. Steals everything in their wallet. They're looking mighty poor right now. 2-0. Another upset in 2 days.
It's not just an upset either, but it is a 2-0 upset for Verdant. We thought this was 2-0 the other way in 35 minutes. Verdant handily dismantle Rich Gang, the undefeated team of Group B. Send them down to the losers bracket.
I mean, they say it, don't they? Money can't buy you happiness. It certainly can't buy you wins in League of Legends, apparally.
Well,
What do you say? You're not pleased with that, but I saw the face there. You have to deal with that on a regular basis.
That was a butt on the goal, I was gonna say, but yeah, I know, it's alright, it's all good. Yeah, I mean, I'm just mega impressed by Verdant right there.
Yeah.
They, you know, it wasn't even against like the adversity that they faced in this series, right? Where it wasn't all smooth sailing.
No.
It wasn't easy for them, but they just found a way to. They almost looked inevitable, right? And when a team looks like that, when a team can be, you know, playing from behind at times or not having like a perfect, like the game isn't going perfectly for them, but they still, it just seems like, well, they'll find a way to win. Like that's a good team, you know you're looking at a good team like that. And I didn't think I'd be saying that about Verdant coming into this series.
I completely agree with you there, but Verdant pull off the 2-0 regardless. Rich Gang sent down to the lower bracket. A little shell-shocked, frankly, after that game too in particular. Des, take it away from here.
There's just something about tiebreakers. Whoever goes on to tiebreakers gets a boost. I don't know what's happening, but I'm scared. Is LLS the final boss? I don't know. Wow. But in reality, with this in mind, Rich Gang didn't come up with a good plan on draft, didn't execute the early game as well, and Verdant, I mean, I'm stating like Rich Gang didn't play to what we are used to, but Verdant though, props.
They need to get some credit here, right? Especially considering how poor their early performances were. This is a massive step up. It's not just as a whole team, but individuals as well. I thought Ronaldo was invisible in the seeding stage. He was night and day. He was the difference maker in playoffs, really showing up to his level. I think Verdant playing to their names now. They have some great talent on this roster, and finally we're seeing what they can do. Ronaldo, the key man in this game.
Yeah, you know what, mate? I don't think Ronaldo was invisible. I think Ronaldo was very, very visible, and that was kind of the problem with some of the seeding stage. But now, like this was a high impact series. You know, game 1, game 2, both of them. I think he was set up for success, and I think he also had, no matter what, I think in the way that this draft played out, and we'll talk about it, you know, as we kind of get through this post game here. You know, whether it was the Yone, whether it was the Smolder in this case, he was always going to have the opportunity to either play aggressively through the Yone, scale up, or, you know, play the much quieter early game, and then like Smolder gets to really dominate through what is a very lackluster, you know, front line, and also just kind of front to back composition. I think from Rich Gang, a little bit all over the place, and maybe priorities not in the right, you know, areas in terms of getting pushed down to having to go Jinx Lulu. Yeah, I think Verdant just kind of ended up getting everything that they wanted in the first 3 picks, and it just made things way, way too difficult just from minute 1.
It looked like they were able to accelerate the game really, really fast to a point where Ronaldo got all the stacks that he needed. I don't know how many stacks he had towards the end of the game.
Yeah, too many.
I wanted to know a little bit more about that. Too much, yeah, too much. Any true or something of the sort would just remove your entire bar. And Jinx gets to a point where she doesn't feel comfortable playing as well, because you get that range, you're like, haha, I'm gonna go crazy, but the dragon is attacking from way further than you and almost executing you with 2 Qs.
Yeah. Let's take a look at the Baron fight, right? 25 minutes in just as
I thought this was it.
Yeah, I thought Rich Gang, they could have come back here, but in the end, they managed to force Verdant off the Baron due to some good poke from Ho-Ho, but they didn't overcome it. Upstandard just makes a weird misplay here. Rich Gang, again, a bit too over-eager, chase a bit too deep, and I think when they turn back to the Baron with their HP bars, especially after Noname have gotten Banderas this low, the main front line of Rich Gang, they should have turned away and be happy, but they went back on the Baron and keep your
Look at
eyes on
him.
Ronaldo here. Flap
Oh,
his way in,
gosh!
and those cues and the damage they execute, he just cuts through the entirety of Rich Gang. And from here, really, the game was decided, and Ronaldo being the leader and the catalyst in this victory.
Just a lot of strange decisions for me from Rich Gang throughout this game. You know, I think whilst we can hammer on about the draft and we can definitely hammer on about, you know, maybe the way that they played out the side lanes, I think especially around the objectives, it was not the same quality and consistency of what we actually saw out of Group B. And yes, like earlier, I think I don't know if I did it on air, if I did it in agreement. I'll do it on air now. I don't care. It's like, it was the Farmers group of the two, right? And to me, there was always going to be questions about how they would show up and play against some of the teams in Group A. But at the end of the day, Verdant simply played not only better than Rich Gang, obviously today, but better than what they'd shown previously. And it seemed like that progress between whatever the hell happened in the seeding stage and those extra games of tiebreakers, the bit of time that they've had now to kind of regroup, refocus not only in the draft side of things but in gameplay has clearly worked. And I'm hoping that this isn't a one-off thing today and this is a consistent trend that we're going to see from this Verdant lineup, because they're capable. They are more than capable. We know they have the names. This is what we should have been seeing out the gate day one Verdant.
Yeah, this is the Verdant everyone really expected, right? I think they were, in my book, contending for top 4. They didn't show that at all during the seeding stage. We've lost Ashram a bit here. I see. He's back.
I think he's here.
Don't count me out!
I'll never count you out, buddy. I'll never count you out. As a Verdant, it's worth noting, 4th seed in Group A, beating the 1st seed of Group B. Massive upset there, and I think Yamada might be right. It's the League in Group B, right? The Farmers League. Yeah, both of the best teams from that group now down in the lower bracket. Same goes for DMG. There's only one hope remaining actually for Group B in the upper bracket, and that's Venom Crystal.
Oh,
Wow,
no,
that
you
is
put it-
crazy.
Oh, this is spicy. This is spicy.
Oh my god, that damage from Ronaldo.
We'll get to the bracket. I'd like maybe once we start to talk about the next series, if we can bring the bracket up again. But for now, like, yeah, still on this post game, of course. Damage from Ronaldo, like you guys are saying, it's just ridiculous. But again, it was the right kind of pick that they needed. They had the early game lane swap set up between Renata Kalista and the Cassante. You always know
at the epic
Cassante's going to come out of
monsters.
a lane swap being absolutely incredible, right? And yeah, beyond that, yeah, you're also right. The epic monster, like everything about this game was just,
Yeah.
it felt like all of the criticisms that we had for Verdant out of their week 1 and their week 2 performances were completely corrected here today, right? Objective setup significantly better. I still have my, if I'm to be completely cynical, I'm still a bit off with how I feel like Noname's performing and, like, you know, start to finish. I was sold on this Noname performance in this game too.
That was good, yeah.
It was good. Game 1 was definitely way easier to pull off. I hope that he can continue to step up as well, because to me, Noname historically he's a playmaker. Whenever he's been here, there's always been a lot of hype around him, you know, domestically from the UK cohort of the Nordic League. So I hope that, you know, we lose what we saw out of week 1 and week 2, and we get the Noname that we saw here today, because I think he's also capable of pulling a lot of weight on this lineup.
There's a massive difference between week 1 and week 2 from this team towards playoffs, apparently, and even on tiebreakers. So I want to talk with one of the teammates. I want to talk with Papi Tito, another Portuguese gentleman. Hey! How
Hello.
you doing?
I'm doing great. Had a
You have
bad
to do
series,
it
but
in
we won at
English.
the end, so it's okay.
You know? Yeah, like I need to understand what happened from tiebreaker to knee breaker. Tell me a little bit about what happened within the team. Like, what was the difference between play day 1, day 1, and day 2 towards playoffs?
I don't think it was much of a gameplay difference. I mean, if you saw our games from like week 1, it was basically we were ahead, we threw a tactic, and we lost. And these games, of course, like there was a big difference in the way we set up that objective, so that improved a lot. But also our mentality coming into this was so much better. Like I felt we were so much more calm and like less nervous. So even with certain plays not going that bad, we never felt like we were actually going to lose.
So, what was the preparation towards these cities versus Rich Gang? When you look into them, you look into the squad, supposedly the team to beat. What was the setup?
I mean, I'm not sure if they're the team to beat, right? Like, honestly, like the groups were a bit skewed. Like the 4 best teams in the league are in our group, right? It's the top 4 of our group, and the top 4 of our group, I think, if I'm not wrong, will pass every single one of them. Will pass through this first stage into the next one. So it's basically going to be a Group A battle off once again in the second round. But the preparation was very standard. I mean, they're a normal team. If we ban Swain, like they're a completely normal team. Like going into it, we had nothing. They had nothing special going on for them, so we knew we were gonna win, however we played.
It's big. Tell me one more thing before I let you rest. If you could describe your team right now, like you're describing someone else, like a friend of yours, how would you describe this team?
Like individually as in the players
as a
or
whole,
the
as a
team
whole.
as a whole. I mean,
It's your friend. It's your mate.
Not sure. I mean, there are many like positive and negative aspects, right? Depending on the player we're focusing on.
Send it.
Hyperactive for both the positive and the negative ways. I think that's the word I would use to describe them.
Okay. The coin flip on whether it's a good day or a bad day. I like it. Or even on
Yeah,
a good day, it could be a bad day. Okay, the full coin flip. Pabitino, thank you so much for this interview. Congratulations on this victory, and best of luck as you move on the upper bracket. It's a rough one. It's a rough show. Good luck.
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna be some good games, and we'll see each other at LAN.
Ooh, I'll see you soon. Oh, that's confidence. When you say we'll see each other on LAN, woo. Now we're talking. Hey, final thoughts on this one, because we still have another series to go through. I just want to closing remarks. Hit me.
Massive upset. Playoff keeps getting more exciting.
Nice.
Yeah.
Jamada.
Happy to see Verdant show up. Genuinely, I think that roster was, again, if we were in an era of no streamer teams, this would be a roster that people would be talking about as a top 2, top 3 contender, right? So, to see them, come in, smash, some strong expectations that the community had, and yes, there was always the underlying narrative of Group B Farmers League, definitely there. To see them still overcome that narrative, fantastic stuff. I'm happy that they're here and they're finally, playing some solid looking League of Legends.
Looks like the vision is a little bit blurred towards what we should expect for the NRL, and massive stairs they have to climb, all of them. So without further ado, we have a series ahead of us, but before we go to that one, I'll see you soon after the quick break. Don't go anywhere.